If there is no one here in Nanganji, what should we do in case of any accident? And we have so many people there, there will be no danger, so you don't have to worry. Everyone persuades Shi Yi's, which makes Shi Yi's frown even more tightly. He lowers his head and doesn't know what else to say. Suddenly, someone came in from outside, dressed in white, with some fatigue. After coming in, he sat among the people and took a breath. His face was still pale. Nanganji, are you all right? Cheese frowns and goes to Nanganji. Without saying a word, he pulls Nanganji's wrist and probes down. But Nanganji gently pushed away and looked up at the people. Today's World War I must participate. Dragon Qingxie is very helpless, turned to see Qi Knight. But seeing Qi Yi's brow locked, he seemed very unhappy, so he had to persuade him. Even if you follow us to leave, you can't get any good from your body now. It's better to be here and guard here. At this time, Chong Wangji suddenly rushed in, covered with blood, but his eyes were very bright. Boss, I'm going too. There was a lot of fighting outside, which made Long Qingxie a little irritable. He wanted to get things done as soon as possible. He turned his head to look at Chong Wangji and said, "You stay here, take your brothers and guard here. Let's attack the branch of the Beast Gate first, and then." Long Qingxie sneered, his eyes full of murderous. "Then, find out the person who betrayed us, and don't leave a whole corpse." In a word, Chong Wangji shivered and looked at the people around him nervously, but he exclaimed in his heart that it was dangerous. There was no spy on his side. When the crowd came out of the camp, there was still a lot of shouting outside. However, there were obviously fewer people than before. Long Qingxie nodded with satisfaction, and then ordered Chong Wangji to do something, and took a few people to the direction of Linghu. Nangang Yi is a little weak, but it's not serious, which makes everyone feel at ease. And Qi Knight has been with him around. People are no longer talking, silent with the dragon behind, quietly toward the direction of Linghu. When 8 people came to Linghu, 5 or 6 forces had already sent the news. Long Qingxie stood in the trees and looked at the branch of Wan women not far ahead. He didn't move for a long time. "When will it start?" Meng Bai asked. Obviously, some can't wait, but Long Qingxie slightly raised his hand, stopped them talking, and said quietly, "Observe the number of them. We'll attack again." We all ambushed quietly in a mountain not far from the branch, quietly looking at the branch of the Beast Gate. It was dark, but the gate of the branch of the Beast Gate was bright. There were several inspection teams coming and going, and the number of defenders did not increase. Long Qingxie's mouth starts up, suddenly raises his hand, and then puts it down. All of a sudden, countless teams around him ran towards the branch of the Beast Gate. But there was no one to speak, only the rustling leaves. If you don't know the situation in the woods, you just think it's the wind blowing leaves. The people of the Beast Gate didn't expect that they were brave enough to give up their stronghold and attack here. Naturally, they relaxed their vigilance. Some people even yawned and looked sleepy. Long Qingxie nodded with the people around him, and everyone ran quietly towards the main gate of the Beast Gate from the forest. In an instant, Long Qingxie waved his épée and cut down a guard. The guard was alert and looked into the sky. At this time, his face turned pale. He saw countless black figures coming from the mountains. When a moon is dark and the wind is high, killing and setting fire. Long Qingxie's eyes are bright and frightening in the dark. With extremely cold eyes, he's going to kill the branch of the Beast Gate step by step in the same way. There is another side in the battle, which is different from the previous fighting, but the battle here is full of scheming and danger. In the darkness, the silent jungle seemed to have something to pass by. With a sudden sound, the lush grass swayed twice, and then the calm was restored. "What about people? Where have you been?" Shang Wenzhong's figure appeared in the woods, feeling the smell of clouds, but suddenly found that he could not find her. Then he stopped and yelled angrily. Behind him, a group of people in black followed closely, but their strength could not compete with Shang Wenzhong. Even if they tried their best, they could not shorten the distance, and even the distance was getting bigger and bigger. Now that Shang Wenzhong has stopped, they can take a breath. "Suzerain, I've searched all the places in the base. I didn't find that cloud dancing figure. It seems that she really ran away. The man in black, who caught up first, reported the situation. They watched Yunwoo escape with their own eyes, and specially set up a mechanism after Yunwoo left. As long as Yunwoo goes back, even if people who can't see her can't feel her breath, the mechanism can still be activated, at least to know whether she has gone back. Now the mechanism is intact, which is enough to show that Yunwoo has indeed left, but did not unexpectedly broke away from the pursuit of Shang Wenhong. Shang Wenhong's eyes are dark. When did the cloud dance become so fast? Or did she not run away, just hide her breath? Thinking of this, Shang Wenhong looked up at the sky. Now it's dark everywhere. They've been chasing Yunwoo for so long. They've been taken around the base by her, and almost caught her several times. But the next moment she's gone. This time again. Shang Wenhong is very angry. He once again uses his previous move in the dungeon to force Yunwoo out and sweep away the powerful pressure. This time, there was no fluctuation of power. Damn it! She really let her escape, Shang Wenhong said coldly. Go back. After that, he turned around and left. After Shang Wenhong left, Yunwoo's figure appeared in the place where Shang Wenhong was just now. It's really a good thing. It's useless to hide in the Chaos Palace, but now it can escape his tracking. Cloud Dance plays with a transparent bead in her hands and thinks in her heart. This is another treasure she found in the tomb. She didn't know what to do, but she accidentally found that there was a strong natural force on the bead, but there was no aggressiveness. Cloud Dance tries to bring out the force of nature. The next moment, I feel that the communication between myself and the surrounding environment seems to be enhanced a lot, and then I find that my breath is completely hidden between heaven and earth. But this thing can only hide the breath, but can't hide the body, but it's enough for Cloud Dance. Now, she has the Chaos Hall as a hiding place, and also has the hidden breath of this thing, and then there is no need to be afraid of Shang Wenhong. Cloud Dance plays with beads in her hand and takes a name for it in her heart. Hidden beads. Just put the bead on the hand away, expected to feel a strong force directly towards their own attack. The cloud dances a corner of the mouth to hook, instantly towards side to hide. On the hand is jumping black flame of Gu Wu, big knife, tightly hold, looking at that black energy unexpectedly after turning a bend to continue to attack toward oneself to come over. Yunwoo is not afraid. He looks like he wants to be tough, but when the power is about to reach him, he has a flexible flash. The attack is manipulated. With a bang, he directly bumps into the tree behind Yunwoo. You haven't left yet. The figure of Shang Wenhong appears again, and he knows that Yunwoo will not give up easily. Moreover, she can't be faster than herself at all, so the only explanation is that she used a special way to hide nearby. If, after he pretended to leave, Yunwoo really came out. How can I leave without saving people? Cloud Dance lightly laughs a not polite reply way. Now she is not able to fight with Shang Wenhong, and in order to gain Shang Wenhong's trust, she doesn't run away directly. She has to be determined to save Xiao Mu to make Shang Wenhong believe her and fall into her trap. Well, do you think you can escape with one more broken bead? Dream Shang Wenhong sneered. I'll let you know now that a lot of things can't be accomplished by these messy things. The most reliable thing is strength. Having said that, a powerful force suddenly appeared around Shang Wenhong. The black energy directly wrapped him in, and his eyes looked at the clouds coldly. This powerful breath is released without reservation. Even the Cloud Family Army and others in the distance feel the power, and they can't help worrying about Cloud Dance. Yunwoo's eyes twinkled, and the next moment, the bead appeared in his palm again. As soon as Yunwoo hung it, she directly hung the bead on her waist. In this way, even in the battle, she could hide her breath and greatly improve her combat effectiveness. The black flame swept out, Cloud Dance right hand forced a wave, the black flame into a tongue of fire, directly toward the Shang Wenhong attack. Without too many movements and moves, it seems that this move is just brute force. Compared with Shang Wenhong's powerful momentum, Yunwoo pays more attention to speed and needs to defeat him before Shang Wenhong's move. Well, I can't help myself. Shang Wenhong gave a cruel smile. Then his right hand moved, and a black energy wrapped his right hand directly. When the black flame arrived, Shang Wenhong impolitely reached for it and wanted to crush it directly. Cloud danced the corner of the mouth a hook, the heart way. Cheated. The next moment, I saw that the energy in Shang Wenhong's hand was directly eroded away. That black flame is like the maggot of tarsal bone, constantly close to Shang Wenhong, seems to recognize him. Shang Wenhong's eyes were slightly heavy, and his reaction was also very fast. His palm moved, and more powerful force swept out. Finally, he put out the flame when the flame stuck to his palm. The black flame died out gradually. In the most central place, a small red flame jumped for a while, as if fighting against Shang Wenhong, but it was finally extinguished. "It's cunning to hide another kind of flame in it," Shang Wenhong said coldly. If it wasn't for his quick reaction, he was afraid that he had been burned at this time. He could feel the temperature of the red flame. Although he could put it out, it was not enough to rely on his first strength. Yunwu doesn't speak, but her hand is not slow. When she just went to Shang Wenhong to deal with the fire, she had already put away the black flame sword, flipped her hands quickly, and the power of one color element after another constantly jumped in her palm and finally gathered together. Shang Wenhong's eyelids jump. It's not the first time he's seen Yunwu use this move. He knows the power of this move and immediately takes action. He flies directly to Yunwu to stop her. Cloud danced corner of the mouth a hook, coldly said, "Late." At the same time, a six-color group of light on the hand is extremely gorgeous. Facing the rushing Shang Wenhong, there is no fear. Yunwu throws the group of light on the hand directly. At the next moment, Yunwu quickly retreated to the rear, which was not what she could resist, so she did not hesitate to hide in the Chaos Hall. Shang Wenhong also understood the power of this thing. It seemed that it was a light group flying slowly towards him. Somehow it was extremely fast. It was too late for Shang Wenhong to retreat. Not far behind is the base of the Beast Gate. If he retreats, he is afraid that this thing will affect it. Shang Wenhong hated Yunwu in his heart. He forced him to take this move here. At the moment, he didn't dare to neglect, and all his strength was concentrated. Black energy emerged in his hands. Behind him, the black robe was calm, but it was hunting again. The light group approached, reflecting the ferocity of Shang Wenhong's face. Behind him, a group of people in black quickly retreated. They all heard that Cloud Dance was powerful. How dare they approach? However, it's not that they can leave without getting close. "Ah, who kicked me?" cried a man in black in horror. I don't know who kicked him behind him and smashed him to Shang Wenhong directly. Shang Wenhong's eyes sank, and he knew that Cloud Dance must be playing tricks again. But now, where does he have the heart to manage? Body movement directly flashed past. This was not hit by the man in black, but then, one by one, the man in black rushed over. Cloud Dance happily throws people in black toward Shang Wenhong. If these people in black are not solved, it will be a problem to fight at that time. She has been thinking about how to solve them in the case of Shang Wenhong. Now she has solved them directly. If in peacetime, these people in black are also very difficult to deal with. But now under great pressure, they can't play their normal strength at all. Besides, Yunwu didn't fight with them directly, but took advantage of invisibility to bring them to Shang Wenhong, risking the risk of death in Shang Wenhong's hands. And, at the same time, he had to react with the fastest speed to escape. How is that possible? Therefore, in a short period of time, these people in black were directly kicked to Shang Wenhong's side, and the speed of Cloud Dance was extremely fast, so it was only a matter of a few seconds. At this time, the light ball finally arrived in front of Shang Wenhong. Where does Shang Wenhong have the mind to manage the life and death of his hands? On his hands, a black light ball with strong energy quickly unfolds. In the end, a huge barrier was formed in front of Shang Wenhong. When the light ball arrived, the black barrier suddenly bent up and directly wrapped the light ball inside, trying to devour it. Cloud danced surprised to see the official grave. No, his means is unusual. And this time, she only fused 6 elements. First, she was in a hurry. Second, she knew that even if she gathered 8 elements, she might not be able to hurt him seriously. On the contrary, she would consume too much. In this case, it's better to keep strength and wait until Shangwen's Hong is led to the place. No matter how well you do it, it's not too late. As for now, Yunwu stepped back and looked at the light ball wrapped in black energy. It was clear that it wanted to explode, but because the external power was too huge, it was stiffly compressed, and even the power was being swallowed. Shangwen's Hong. Do you think that's all I can do? Cloud Dance says coldly in the heart, did not make a sound. Then, Cloud Dance's palm turned, the ancient sword appeared instantly, and the black flame was still beating above. But all this, Cloud Dance has directly aroused another force in her body, which is the power of Magic Bite that she hasn't used for a long time. The black power replaced the black flame on the ancient sword. It was no longer burning and jumping, but became more mysterious and powerful. Cloud Dance didn't want to, but directly bullied himself close to the back of Shangwen's Hong, while the other side was still in control of the black power. With a crisp lift of his right hand, the black power crossed an arc in the air, directly toward the back of Shangwen's Hong. It's very quick. Shangwen's Hong's mind at this time was all on the light group in front of him, and he couldn't deal with the crisis behind him. Originally thought it was just the black flame on the knife, but when the attack was about to hit him, an instinctive sense of crisis hit him. As soon as Shangwen's Hong's face sank, he immediately mobilized the remaining power in his body and wrapped himself up without saying a word. The next moment, boom! The attack of Lung unintentionally fell directly on him. The powerful power of Evil Bite is just a common one. It was used by Cloud Dance in Wuling Realm, and it broke the defense of Shangwen's Hong instantly. Then, the power kept on, only to hear a poof sound like the sound of tearing the body. Shangwen's Hong, eyes astare, more powerful force quickly resist in the past, the body desperately away. This just avoided the key. Ah! Shangwen's Hong screamed bitterly, his eyes turned red, and the hand that controlled Guangtuan trembled faintly. Magic Bite's power is extremely powerful, but limited by the strength of Cloud Dance. It can't be used completely. Just now, she just added a power to the black flame and had such a great power. Cloud Dance can't help thinking, what will it look like when he can completely control the power of Magic Bite? But the most urgent task is to see that the light group controlled by Shangwen's Hong becomes active. With a hook in the corner of his mouth, he quickly flashes to one side. Shangwen's Hong's eyes were wide open, and he immediately realized that the situation was beyond his control. He immediately poured the last force into the black energy and then quickly retreated. He was not a Cloud Dancer. He could not control the direction of the light group, so he had to use this method. As for the life and death of those people in black on the ground, what does it have to do with him? Shangwen's Hong just moved, and the light group finally burst out after being suppressed for a long time. Bang! 6 elements repel each other, and 6 colors explode directly. The powerful impact force with 6 kinds of violent elements rolled over everything around. The man in black on the ground looked at the attacking power in horror and scattered away. Help, Lord! Help me! I dashed, screamed one after another, and finally one after another covered up in a huge explosion, and Yunwu didn't know where to escape for a long time. Shangwen's Hong retreats quickly. He knows that the newly built base will be affected again. No wonder that Yunwu has been taking them around the base before. I'm afraid that he has already thought of the way to deal with them. Shangwen's Hong's eyes were gloomy, and he was furious at the thought that he had been fooled. The scope of the explosion swept the gate base, and the gate of the dungeon was the first to bear the brunt. Under the powerful blasting force, the impact of the 6 elements directly rolled towards the dungeon, and the dungeon, just a few days after it was built, collapsed again. Cloud Dance. You'd better not let me catch you again. Otherwise, no matter whether you have something I want or not, I will break you to pieces for the first time. Cloud Dance's figure flashed quickly, and when the explosion happened, It directly rushed to the base, and the target was still the dungeon. However, it wasn't long before Shangwen's Hong caught up with him directly. Yunwu didn't look back. He tried his best to speed up. He was in a hurry. He seemed to be in a hurry, even forgetting the hidden breath. Shangwen's Hong's face was gloomy, and he pursued her desperately. Finally, the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Cloud dance. Die with a cold drink from Shangwen's Hong. A black energy mass in his hand is thrown out directly, and the target is directed at the heart behind the cloud dance. This time, the speed of the attack was surprisingly fast. Even after such a long distance, it was not so easy to flash past. It could be seen how huge the anger of Shangwen's Hong was at this time. Cloud Dance eyes, slightly heavy, feel the attack from behind, instantly raised his speed to the extreme, but did not completely flash past, but adjusted a delicate angle to avoid the key. The attack wiped the arm of Cloud Dance to fly past. The next moment, when the attack turns, the power of Magic Bite in Yunwu's body emerges again, and uses all his strength to cut the attack mercilessly. The two powerful attacks collided with each other and made a loud bang. The powerful impact was scattered everywhere. Yunwu felt a burst of qi and blood in her chest and quickly retreated. At this time, Shangwen's Hong had already arrived. At this time, Shangwen's Hong doesn't talk to her anymore. The black energy envelopes her whole body and then rushes towards Yunwu without saying a word. Yunwu doesn't dare to neglect her, so she quickly raises Guwu de Geo to fight back. Guwu de Geo, which combines the power of Moyen, can even make her fight against Shangwen's Hong. At present, they're fighting in the air. Although the blow hurt Shangwen's Hong just now, as the saying goes, a thin camel is bigger than a horse. It is still impossible to defeat Shangwen's Hong. But Yunwu knows that he has completely won Shangwen's Hong's trust now. Even if he turns around and runs, Shangwen's Hong will catch up without hesitation. Cloud Dance is fierce in the heart. A small evil power attacks Shangwen's Hong with a tricky angle, like a needle, directly pierces Shangwen's Hong's defense. Shangwen's Hong shivered all over, and the palm wrapped by the black energy suddenly patted Yunwu. Yunwu stepped back on his face. Taking this opportunity, Shangwen's Hong also stepped back several steps, forcing out the power of Evil Bite. Lord! The sound of schwa schwa kept ringing, and more than a dozen figures came from the direction of one human base. It seemed that they felt the explosion and came to support. When he saw that there was no one around Shangwen's Hong, the people who just arrived shivered. They don't know what happened, they just know that the base was bombed, so they came to report it. In their opinion, Yunwu is not the opponent of Shangwen's Hong at all, but now it seems that it's not the same thing. Help again. Cloud Dance cornered the mouth a hook, seemingly contemptuous said. The line of sight swept over a dozen people in black who had just arrived. Today I destroyed the base building you just built. Next time, I will destroy your whole base. Want to use my friend as an energy stone? Dream after that. Yunwu took a final look at the direction of the base, and then directly flashed away and flew to the distance. This time, she did not hesitate to fly to the distance. Want to go? Do you think you can still go? Shangwen's Hong's cold voice rang out, and then directly chased Yunwu in the direction of leaving. Cloud Dance didn't pay any attention to his meaning, still raised the speed to the extreme, and flew to the distance. The more she looked like this, the more Shangwen's Hong felt that Yunwu was determined to run away, so he chased after her without any doubt. One after the other, they chased after each other. They saw the clouds flying higher and higher, jumping on the branches with neat steps, and the tips of their feet on the branches. Finally, the two figures were directly exposed above the forest. In the distance, the killer regiment looks at each other coldly. As the two figures are getting farther and farther away, Long Qing begins to calculate the time in his heart finally, when the figure of the two people completely disappeared in the field of vision. Cold water, eyes a cold. Decisive said to the people behind, "Hands on." Yes, the killers answered, then turned straight to the base. As early as before the operation, they had learned from Yunwu where Xiao Mu might be detained, so this time the target was the dungeon. Although they had not been here, they found the entrance of the dungeon after a few simple inspections. Wait! Lung Qingshui reaches out his hand to stop the people who are ready to come forward. The killers were stunned. They didn't understand that they had already come to her. They stopped and looked at her with a puzzled look. Cold Water squinted and saw that the ground at the entrance of the dungeon was shining with some golden luster. If you don't look carefully, you can't see it at all. It seems that the Beast Gate is still on guard, but I don't know what the effect of this array is. Cold Water frowned and said. Hearing her words, the killers discovered the existence of the golden light. What shall we do now? If the existence of this array can make Shangwintong find the invaders, then we will lose all our previous achievements, said one of the killers, frowning. Lung Qingshui thought about it in silence, looked around, and then picked up a small stone from the ground. With a flick of his fingertip, he threw the stone directly from the top of the array. At the same time, the array was brilliant. Who? Is Yunwu back? The men in black who are guarding the two sides of the array show their weapons to be ready. Lung Qingshui and others hold their breath for fear of being found. At the same time, they're always on guard against Shangwintong's coming back. However, the array was just shining for a moment, and the next moment directly restored calm. The people in black looked around and found nothing. What's the matter? Someone broke in? A patrol came up, said the man in black, who was the leader of the patrol. Captain, I don't know what happened. Just now, the array suddenly flashed, and there was nothing left. The gatekeeper in black said quickly. Why don't you send someone in? Said the patrol captain, glaring. Yes, the gatekeeper in black replied quickly, and then immediately ordered several people. After receiving the order, those people did not dare to neglect and quickly got into the dungeon. You guys are here to watch, you hear me? Don't think it's okay if you have an array. This array is not aggressive. If the Lord comes back and finds that he has been sneaked in, none of you will feel better. Do you hear me? The captain of the patrol said coldly. These words fall in the ear of cold, clear water. Let her eyes light up immediately. No aggression, and it doesn't seem to be found by Shangwintong in the distance. This array is only used to detect whether someone sneaks in with the help of hidden kung fu. With this conscientiousness, the cold water immediately relieved a lot, and there were countermeasures in mind. I hear you, said a crowd of gatekeepers in black. Don't worry, Captain. We will guard it well. I believe that Cloud Dance will not come back. After all, the Lord is not so easy to deal with. A man in black, the gatekeeper, said with a flattering smile to the captain of the patrol. Looking at his attitude, the captain of the patrol could not help but snort, and then left with the patrol. I saw that those who were sent to the dungeon for inspection had arranged to walk over the golden array one after another. As two peas on the ground, the golden light will become more obvious and the same as before the cold water was thrown into the stone. Up to now, Lung Qingshui has finally let go. All of you in my command. The eyes of cold, clear water stare at a kind of person in black standing at the entrance of the dungeon, coldly say, take out your usual training level. Don't let go of any of the gatekeepers in black. Dispose of the corpses as soon as possible. Remember, don't let anyone find anything unusual. Don't make too much noise. Use the fastest speed to destroy them, and then break into the dungeon. Understand? Understand. The killers replied in a cold voice, with the lowest voice and serious eyes. All right, do it. At the command of Lung Qingshui, I saw black figures rushing out from the grass like ghosts, staging a bloody massacre beast division. Looking at the Lung Qingshui and others who had been killed all the way, the guard suddenly turned his head and yelled at the people behind him, go, and asked for support. The guard didn't expect that his own people would attack Lung Qingshui and others, but he didn't expect that Lung Qingshui's people would send their hands to attack his branch. Who could have thought that those people who were under the charge of Lung Qingshui would give the wrong information? Does it mean that the people of the Beast Gate went to fight against the dragon, but the whole army was destroyed? The guard's mind was in a mess. He rushed to his gate with a weapon, but before he reached the gate, he was chopped to death by a group of people behind him. He didn't even have time to call for help. And the 3 gates of the Beast Gate have been occupied by countless people, fighting towards the interior of the Beast Gate. You'd better be careful. Now our camp has different strengths. It's hard to deal with the Beast Gate. Moreover, this base doesn't seem to be a small branch. I'm afraid there are also a few people of equal strength, Long Qingxia said with a frown. Everyone nodded very seriously, and they all saw that the structure and manpower of the base were bigger than before. So the crowd dispersed and set out for the 3 gates. Long Qingxia and Nangong Ichi ran towards the west side door. Cheese looks at Nangongji very worried. Nangongji's face is still tired and pale after losing so much blood, which makes Chi very worried. He is afraid that if he wants to meet a master, Nangongji can't retreat completely. With this in mind, countless people in black have flocked to the front. Chi, you pay attention to Nangongji, follow me. Long Qingxia simply explained that he had already thrown up his heavy sword and beat the man in black out in front of him. Suddenly, blood and flesh fly. Chi Knight and Nangong are behind Long Qingxia, carefully preventing someone from sneaking attack behind him. Already camp, almost overwhelming, quickly entered the door. After entering the gate, you will first see a huge palace, which is very similar to the main hall of the Beast Gate headquarters. In the center of the main hall, there are 4 people. Seeing these 4 people, the expression of Long Qingxia and others quickly cooled down, and people could not help but enter a state of alert. These people are too dangerous. Meng Bai also rushed over and stood beside several people. For a moment, all the people around him had gathered around Long Qingxia from the 3 gates. In front of the 4 people are very silent, black gas overflowing of them looks very gloomy. So behind, countless people are still fighting, 8 on this side to 4 on that side, but fell into a deadlock. You are still so reckless. The opposite of those people, I do not know who, suddenly indifferent said. Long Qingxia snorted coldly and threw his épée. Without saying a word, he ran to the 4 people in front of him. The 4 people obviously didn't expect that he would attack so soon. They were shocked, and then they met with a sneer. Cheese looked at the snake sword in his hand and at the man in black who was close at once. He immediately drew out his dagger and crossed to the face of the man in front of him. The man in black is not afraid at all. He splits the dagger and cuts at Chi's face. Chi turns his head and looks to the side. Nangong has come to him and stands back to back with him. Both of them didn't speak, but they both gave their backs to each other. Long Qingxia opens his mouth and brings up a smile of evil spirit. It's a rare excitement in his eyes. Yes, after such a long time, it's hard to meet a rival. He threw the blood on the épée and used the sword as a knife to cut at the man in black in front of him. The épée with calcium carbide fire, whistling wind, let the man in black in front of him can't help but step back, and then his whole body was filled with black air, raised the long sword. Right up. There was only a harsh sound, and the ground under the feet of Long Qingxia and the man in black was cracked. With a smile on his face, Long Qingxia looks at the man in black in front of him and gently hooks his fingers. The whole épée was wrapped with black energy. He suddenly swung the épée. In an instant, the épée got away and flew away. Dragon Qing evil figure instantly disappeared in place. The next second has appeared in front of the man in black. The man in black was obviously startled. He saw that Long Qingxia took his épée, raised it high and stabbed it heavily. The pupil of the man in black shrank suddenly. He had no time to escape and was stabbed. All of a sudden, blood splashed, and the eyes of the man in black had lost their look. Long Qingxia wiped the bloodstain on his face, but he was very disappointed and said, "I really overestimate you. It's not good." He turned to look at the others, but found that they were still fighting. He looked at the épée in his hand. Yu Guang caught a glimpse that a man in black was pressing his own hand under his body and stabbed his backhand at the man in black's back. The man had fallen to one side before he could shout, "Thank you, boss." The man's face was full of blood. He had no time to wipe it. He stood up and laughed at the dragon. Long Qingxie didn't speak. He patted the man on the shoulder and turned to leave. Looking at the others, though they were still fighting, but they didn't suffer from multiple injuries, I felt a little relieved, so I turned and flew to the main hall. When entering the center of the main hall, the sound outside was still reverberating, but there was no one in the main hall. It was so quiet that the sound of fighting seemed to come from a dream. Long Qingxie squints his eyes and looks at the center of the hall in front of him. There must be someone guarding here. How can it be so quiet? Suddenly, footsteps came from outside. Looking around, Qi Yi's and Nangong, he had already come in one after another. Come on, let's go first. The dragon poured out his heresy and then took the lead to go inside. There's a long way to go from the main hall gate to the central part, and this road is really empty, which makes 3 people very nervous. Be careful, there are mechanisms here. Nangong, he said, then took out the sword and held it in his hand. The 3 men quickly wrapped up their fighting spirit, and then walked in quietly and slowly. Suddenly, with Qi Yi's exclamation, Nangong, Yi, and Long Qingxie turned back almost at the same time, and then they see that Qi Yi's feet have stepped down a brick in an instant. I heard a few breaking wind around me. Countless flying arrows shot at the 3 people, cutting through the air as if with fire. Long Qingxie raised his hand and cut at a long sword. In an instant, he cut the sword in front of him in half, but countless flying arrows came from all directions. 3 people instantly back to back, resisting the flying arrows in all directions. With incomparable speed and power, Nangong Yiwei frowned, split an arrow, and turned to look at the front door. In the direction of the front door, the others are still fighting. Now it's true that any villain can come and disturb me at will. In the hall, the flying arrows suddenly disappeared. Then from the gate of beasts, a man in black suddenly leaped out. The breath of this man was extremely gloomy. He leaped out and stood in front of several people. At this time, Sidu Lan and others were still fighting outside, but they were already very anxious because no one knew what was going on inside, and if they were a little late, we could not estimate what losses would be caused, and the people in front of them were too difficult to deal with. Sitalan raised his hand and stabbed the sword at the face of the man in black in front of him, but the man in black easily avoided, sneered, and grabbed him. The black fighting spirit made his hand look particularly terrible. With a fierce spirit, he grabbed Sitalan's face, and Sitalan turned to avoid it. Sitalan also wondered why there were so many experts in this place. The level of these people's subordinates was not low, and they had terrible power. Among so many people in black, there were very few people with low level. Sure enough, there is a big problem with the lake water, and it is also very attractive for us. He was thinking about himself, and suddenly realized that the person in front of him was close at hand. He took a cold breath and patted the person's chest with the fighting spirit wrapped in his palm. The man in black didn't dodge, but his fighting spirit was like a layer of armor. He just stepped forward to block Sitalan for a while, and then stabbed his sword to Sitalan's left chest. Sitalan took a breath of cold air and quickly turned to his side, but he was inevitably stabbed in the shoulder by the man in black in front of him. Suddenly blood flowed down his sleeve, and his face turned pale. Almost stabbed into the heart, Situ, Lan heart, secret way, dangerous. Back 2 steps, intend to pull the sword from the body, but the man in black did not give him a chance. Forward 2 steps, will he ruthlessly push back. Sitalan grinned and gasped heavily. He grabbed the sword body and stepped on it with fighting spirit. He forced himself to stop, but his shoulder was also pierced by the sword. His whole body was soft, and he almost fell down. Sitalan bit his tongue hard and forced himself to stand up. Then he took up the long sword and put it in the stomach of the man in black. Mengbai sees that Sitalan is in danger and wants to come forward to help him. However, he is entangled by the man in black. He is worried and wants to take a look at Sitalan's situation, but he doesn't notice that a minion behind him quietly comes forward and stabs Mengbai in the back. Mengbai suddenly felt dark and almost suffocated. He quickly took 2 steps forward and turned around. I saw a man in black behind him, looking at Meng Bai in front of him with a sneer, raising his sword and going forward again. Meng Bai's face has turned pale, but he secretly says that he is careless. He raises his hand to wrap the whole palm of his hand with his fighting spirit. Lung abruptly pulls the man over and cuts his neck. Spit out a breath. Meng Bai backhand covers his waist, soft sit down on the ground, low head, fierce breathing. Are you okay? Shangwan's voice suddenly came from a distance. Ah! Then I heard a terrible cry. Suddenly a shadow appeared around him. Meng Bai raised his head difficultly and looked up at Shangwan. A faint smile hung on his pale face. I'm okay. But before he had finished speaking, his face turned pale again. Suddenly, his eyes darkened and he couldn't see clearly. Shangwan's face suddenly turned cold. He pinched Meng Bai's shoulder, then stood up and walked forward. Hell doesn't accept nameless ghosts. Give me your name, just listen to the other side, a cold smile away. Why? Shangwan burst out laughing. His whole body was black and fierce. He was so powerful that the people in front of him were stunned for a moment. Then he suddenly sneered and said, It's Shangwan, the former young master, however. Shangwan's realm is much higher than Yihuai's. Yihuai is still in a daze. Shangwan has already rushed to Yihuai and punched him down. Yihuai was hit and flew out before he could react. His bones seemed to be broken. He fell to the ground several meters away and couldn't vomit blood. He turned angrily, looked at the people who were afraid to attack, and said coldly, Who dares to come here? The minions were scared because the Shangwan's face was covered with blood. He stood in the shadow with the sun on his back. His face was as cold as a glacier, like a hell Shura. The minions trembled and looked at each other, but no one continued to come forward. Shangwan picked up Meng Bai and walked to the front surrounded by a group of people in black. But the men in black looked at them and didn't stop them. Shangwan's expression is like a person coming out of the iceberg. He doesn't smile at all. His whole body exudes the spirit of killing. The minions in front of him are scared to give way one after another. In the dark, the smell of blood is spreading. The black ghost-like figure constantly shuttles among the guards at the gate of the dungeon, and the guards fall one after another quietly, even without a cry. Originally, there were many arrays and mechanisms in the dungeon. In addition, it was the base of the Beast Gate. Therefore, it doesn't need too many guards at all. What's more, these guards are arranged here to detect the array, which also provides convenience for Lung Qing Shui and others. Soon, the guards were all lost in the hands of the elite of the Killer Corps. The killers who have been trained for a long time don't need too much cold water. They clean their hands and clean up all the corpses on the ground quickly. No matter who comes here to see, I'm afraid they won't find that there has been a massacre. Until now, Lung Qing Shui calmly looked around, then nodded directly to his men and said, Let's go. Without saying a word, they went to the dungeon one by one. After the array, a golden light flickered, and the killers kept walking inside. After all the people entered, the golden light soon fell silent again, as if nothing had happened. What's the matter? Why is the golden light shining again? Just now, the patrol team immediately found the change here and rushed over. When the clinker arrived at the door, none of the guards saw it. What about people? Come out and see me, the captain of the patrol yelled coldly at the dungeon, looking serious and angry. But after shouting for a long time, there was no sound around, let alone a shadow. The captain of the patrol frowned and began to think. Captain, when the golden light was flashing, didn't you send someone in? I'm afraid they found someone inside. Now, the one who went and came out again, they're going after it again? A man in black on one side guessed boldly. The captain of the patrol frowned and thought that was the only explanation. After all, there was no sign of fighting around. So Nod had said, continue to send people at the door to watch until they come back to ask what happened. Yes, the people in black around immediately responded, and then they immediately dispersed and went to their own actions. In the forest, Shang Wenhong and Yunwu are very fast. When they both drive to the extreme, where can others catch up? In addition, after flying a certain distance, Yunwu returned to the forest again. His figure flickered in the forest and turned left and right from time to time. Finally, he threw away all the people in black from the beast gate. Yunwu smiles and feels that there is only Shangwen's Hong's breath behind him. Though it is getting closer and closer, in fact, in the process of chasing, there were several times when Shangwen's Hong almost caught up with Yunwu, but Yunwu directly hid his breath with hidden beads and hid it in the Chaos Hall. For a moment, Shangwen's Hong lost his goal and had to stop. After Yunwu ran a certain distance, he pretended to be careful to show his breath. So Shangwen's Hong chased him all the way, but he never caught Yunwu. Shangwen's Hong, who has been injured, has been furious after being juggled for several times. Why should Yunwu keep running here? Finally, Yunwu looks at the destination, which is getting closer and closer, not far away, and a smile appears at the corner of her mouth. The chief is back. A sharp-eyed soldier of the Cloud family found the figure of Cloud Dance and said to others immediately. The crowd immediately nodded. They had been waiting in their own position for a long time. Naturally, they knew what they were going to do next. Now the time has finally come, and they are ready. 500 meters the distance between Shangwen's Hong and Yunwu is only 100 meters. It is very likely that the next moment will catch up with Yunwu and tear her up. At this time, Cloud Dance under the rapid suddenly feel behind a powerful attack directly toward themselves. Suddenly a tight heart. It seems that Shangwen's Hong is not going to catch up to start again, is ready to fight directly. At the moment, Yunwu didn't even think about it. She immediately dodged and covered her hand with the power of Magic Bite. She had already used the power of Magic Bite several times in a row and felt her physical strength expending fast. But now, in any case, cannot give up. With more powerful magic power than the previous two times, Yunwu clenched his teeth and fought directly towards the attack. Boom dash, a sound. Two forces collided together, issued a burst of earth-shaking sound. The whole forest trembled as if natural and man-made disasters were coming at the same time. Cloud Dance body a turn. Only feel chest of pain, almost a mouthful of blood spit out. Hurriedly adjust the breath of luck, the hard feeling down. In the sea of knowledge, many summoners have long been exchanging to fight with Yunwu. Mama, let me help you. This old and immortal thing dares to hurt you. I have to pluck all its hair, Small Stink said viciously. But the words were full of worry about Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance pressure heart tremble, said to his call beasts, "Don't worry. You wait for a while. I have my own plan. Soon we'll let you all out." As soon as Yunwu's words were finished, the summoners were quiet, but they were still very anxious. Cloud Dance, coldly looking at the explosion center of Shangwen's Hong. Clearly in the explosion center, but still safe. She knew clearly in her heart that it was not the time to exert all her strength. The most important thing now was to lead Shangwen's Hong to the trap she had set for him. Think of here, Cloud Dance without saying a word, suddenly turn around and run. Although we were in the middle of a battle just now, leaving it this time is quite like escaping. Want to go? It's not that easy, Shangwen's Hong coldly said, and then directly to chase. Here we are. Cloud Dance eyes bright. Behind the attack has hit again, finally, that is surrounded by many cloud army to the place. Shangwen's Hong didn't notice anything, but he kept chasing. The attack was also chasing Yunwu. Just as Shangwen's Hong stepped into the encirclement, Yunwu suddenly changed his direction and flew directly to the top. The attack fell to the ground and gave a roar. At the same time, Golden Flash. No, Shangwen's Hong suddenly realized something. After a big drink, he quickly flew up like a Cloud Dance, but it was too late. Cloud Dance at this time has already fallen outside the golden light, laughing and looking at the light of Shangwen's Hong. Ha ha ha, only now? Is it too late? Shangwen's Hong, you will die here today. Arrogant tone completely angered Shangwen's Hong. He tried his best to fly up, but faster than him is the golden light. Gold complex lines rise at the foot, different from the general array. This array seems to be a combination of one small array after another. Besides one big array eye, there are more than 10 small array eyes and other special positions. The golden light rises along the edge of the array and quickly forms something like a golden bell cover, which directly covers Shangwen's Hong inside. The speed of Shangwen's Hong was 1 minute slower after all when the golden bell cover was formed. I saw Shangwen's Hong falling down like a broken kite. Fortunately, Shangwen's Hong was very skillful and let himself fall to the ground steadily. Cloud dance. It turns out that you all planned it. Your goal is not to rob Xiao Mu, but to kill me. Shangwen's Hong coldly looked at the cloud dance outside the array and said fiercely. Cloud dance mouth a hook did not directly answer the question of Shangwen's Hong, but asked, I always want to kill you, don't you know? Shangwen's Hong's eyes were more fierce. Do you think you can trap me with this small array? You look down on me, yes. Cloud Dance does not care said. Originally, she didn't plan to use this array to deal with Shangwen's Hong, as long as she could delay. Of course, she would like to see Shangwen's Hong seriously injured. This is the array that Long Qingxia has made with her. Tell her to practice it if you have a chance, because it looks complicated. But the advantage is that both attack and defense are very powerful. When used in a march, if 10 people build an array together, 100 people of the other side can be trapped. If 100 people build an array, 1,000 people can be trapped. Today, instead of using 100 people to build an array, she only trapped one person in Shangwen's Hong. I'd better wait until the array starts if you can be trapped. Cloud Dance said with a sneer. Then the summoning array appeared at the foot, and several kinds of lights were shining at the same time. Then, one after another, the summoner appeared in front of the crowd. Just like the big gathering of rare warcraft, these warcraft, which are enough to cause a sensation everywhere, gather around the Cloud Dance, and all turn into human form. Mama, Master, the warcraft shouts to Yunwu one after another. Because Cloud Dance is the realm of Wuling, her summoning beasts have entered the realm of Wuling. Now in front of everyone, including Cloud Dance, there are 9 people who are Wuling. Shangwen's Hong's eyelids jump, and he doesn't know what Baiyun Dance wants to do, but he's surprised and has a bad premonition. Cloud Dance mouth corner hook, cold voice way, action. Yes, the summoners responded excitedly, and then immediately dispersed to join the Cloud Army. The Cloud Army, who had been standing in the eye of the array and the key position before, took action one after another. Shangwen's Hong felt dizzy. The next moment, their positions in the whole array changed. It looks like a brand new array. If the golden bell jar is not there and there is no change, Shangwen's Hong almost thinks that he has entered another array. The 8 most important positions are all on the top of the summoners. With the addition of 8 Wuling, it seems that the golden light is more bright. Then, Yunwu chuckled and flew directly to the eye of the needle where there was no one. When Yunwu's body falls to the eye of a needle, the array starts. The huge pressure was generated from the array, just like the gravity increased several times in a moment. Shangwen's Hong had the feeling that he could not walk in the air anyway. Even if it's just raising his feet, it takes a little more effort than usual. Every movement seems to be stopped by someone. What's the situation? Shangwen's Hong cheers coldly to Yunwu. How can Cloud Dance answer? From the start of the array, unless Shangwen's Hong has the ability to break through the array, he will be trapped in it forever. As for the people standing on the array, they control the attack and defense of the array. The first one, let's play the power duel with you first. Yunwu narrowed her eyes and looked at Shangwen's Hong in the array. Then she lifted her right hand between her fingers, and a wisp of white power gushed out from between her fingers, exactly from a ring on her hand. This is a ring that can store power. It was specially prepared for her before Long Qingxia, and it is the unique ancient power of Long Qingxia. Only with this power can you easily and freely control the array. As soon as the white power gets into the array changes quickly as if it can understand the mind of Cloud Dance. If someone stands outside the array at this time, they will find that there is no change in the array. At most, the golden light is more dazzling. But standing on top of the array and becoming a part of the array, the Yunjijin can see clearly. When the array was started by Cloud Dance, the legs of Shangwen's Hong bent directly in the golden bell cover. The golden light visible to the naked eye, it was like a god's residence, and it pressed down on Shangwen's Hong. The powerful force even affected Shangwen's Hong. We can see how powerful this array is. When all the people were above Shangwen's Hong, they could not bear the pressure and knelt down to the ground directly, but a black light flashed, directly covered Shangwen's Hong, and then pressed back towards the golden light. In a brilliant golden light, the black light is very dim. But even so, he still resisted the oppressive golden light. Yunwu didn't expect that Shangwen's Hong's strength was so strong, and he could persist for so long under this array. The action on the hand is nonstop. A few gestures down, the Cloud family army people immediately understand her meaning. Have increased the strength of the hand. The golden light is more dazzling. Shangwen's Hong gave a cold drink and said, "Do you want to deal with me with this?" After that, the body trembled and the black light became more intense. In the light, a big black hand was formed and pushed towards the top. When the black hand appeared, Jin Guangming retreated 1 point. The Yunjijin people were surprised and quickly increased their strength again. However, they still couldn't resist the move of Shangwen's Hong. The golden light retreats step by step. I'm afraid it won't be long before it is completely scattered. Cloud danced, brow tight, wrinkly. This just found that he underestimated Shangwen's Hong again. He thought he had done his best when fighting with himself, but now he realized that Shangwen's Hong's strength was so terrible. What is his realm? But now is not the time to think about it. Yunwu didn't dare to wait until Shangwen's Hong completely forced Jingguang back for fear that he would directly break the golden bell cover and escape from it. At the moment, Yunwu immediately made a decision in his heart and said coldly, "Change the array." Yes, changing an array is not really changing an array, because the array currently used is composed of several small arrays. Therefore, the so-called change of array is just a change of attack method. Since that move was not good, Yunwu decided to change the attack method. As soon as Yun Jejun responded, he immediately removed the strength of his hand in an instant according to the previous agreement, and quickly changed the position between the eye of the needle and the eye of the needle. Everything just happened in an instant. When everyone stopped, they suddenly found that except for the position of Cloud Dance in the middle, everyone's position had changed. Cloud Dance stares at Shangwen's Hong in the array coldly and says, "Attack." The golden light bloomed again, only this time, but it completely changed into another form. Beast Division. Meng Bai, who had been hurt, turned pale. It seemed that his sword was badly hurt. At this time, he hung on Shangwan's body. The superior officer took him to a place where he was slightly hidden, put him under a tree, and said, "Your current situation is no longer suitable to continue fighting. Find a place to hide. I think we have suffered a lot in the First World War tonight. I think it's time for us to retreat." Meng Bai gasped quickly. His face was pale, and the beads of sweat rolled down his cheek. He felt that his brain was buzzing, and he could not hear anything else. Shangguan patted Meng Bai on the shoulder, forced him to raise his head, and said to him, "Now I'm going to save others." But Meng Bai couldn't hear clearly, but he just nodded and closed his eyes. Shangguan looked ahead and frowned. Sitolan's shoulder was bloody and terrible. His face was pale, but he grabbed the hand of the man in black in front of him and then stabbed the sword into the stomach of the man in black with his right hand. But the man in black in front of him didn't show any pain. Instead, he was very ferocious. He bit his tongue and the blood flowed down the corner of his mouth, but he still held the sword in his hand and wanted to kill Sitolan. Desperado! Sitolan was angry in his heart, but there was no way. Now, such a stalemate had exhausted both of them. In front of him, Sitolan had cut a big hole in the stomach of the man in black. The blood flowed down his black clothes, but nothing could be seen. But Sitolan is more tragic. His face is covered with blood, his whole body is covered with blood, and his shoulder is even more blurred. He spat, coughed twice, and suddenly laughed bitterly. "I'm afraid I can't continue this battle today." Only heard a burst of wind around. Situ Lan didn't turn his head, but he could feel Shangwan's breath. Suddenly in the heart, a burst of relaxed. Unexpectedly backward 2 steps, fell down. The man in black obviously didn't expect that the long sword was drawn out of Situ Lan's body in a moment. When he was about to continue to attack and cause Situ Lan's death, there was a whoosh around him, followed by a chill. Before the man in black could see what happened, he felt his arms light. When he looked down, there were only 2 bloody arms left before he met. The cross-section was clean, and there was nothing left. Then the man in black screamed like a pig. He stepped back a few steps, but the superior didn't give him a chance to live. He took a step forward and cut off his head with his sword. Situ Lan finally vomited a tone, closed double eyes, feel whole body bursts of weak. Then nobody knows. 2 people have been injured for a while, which makes the upper officer a little unbearable. When he looks at the battlefield in front of him, he finds that there are many people in black and few on his side. It's sad to think about the people who have just entered the main hall, and they are worried again. Turning around, I saw a brother who was defeated by the people of the Beast Gate. Without saying a word, he stabbed him in the direction of the man in black. The man in black had died without saying a word. After interrupting the man's thanks, he grabbed his shoulder and said, "Now run into the main hall and help me inform Long Qingxia. It said that our side has suffered heavy losses and can't continue to fight." Man Lung, Bao seems to digest for a while, suddenly pale, toward the center of the main hall. In the main hall, there were all arrow plumes scattered all over the ground, and a mess all over the ground. My heart sank, and I ran forward quickly. The mechanism has lost its function. The man has come to the rear very quickly. Nangong Yi, Qi Yi's, and Long Qingxia are facing an old man in black robe in the rear. "Boss!" The man was a little timid, but he didn't shrink back. Instead, he ran forward and came to Long Qingxia. He attached himself to his ear and said a few words to him. Suddenly, Long Qingxia's face changed slightly. He looked up at the old man in black robe and said in a deep voice, "I'm not going to fight with you today. We'll fight another day." He turned around and walked out, but he was stopped by the old man in black robe. He laughed and said, "Do you think this place is where you can come and go if you want?" With that, the old man in black suddenly reached out and grabbed him in the direction of the man. "Be careful!" Long Qingxia suddenly yells, but it's too late. The man is choked by the old man in black robe. Before he has time to call for help, he is out of breath. A nameless anger suddenly rose in the heart of Long Qingxia. But now, the situation is urgent. He turned his head and looked outside the front door, where he could not see the situation clearly. It was said that heavy losses had occurred. In other words, no matter what the situation is, we must evacuate now. So before he had time to speak, the thin hand of the old man in black robe had already scratched the neck of the dragon like an eagle's claw. But Long Qingxia smiles, raises his hand, and grabs the old man's hand. He turns to Nangong Yi and Qi Yi's and says, "You go out first, take them out, go back to the camp, and we'll make plans." Nangong Yi and Qi Yi's see that the old man in black robe can't turn the dragon to evil, so they nod and run towards the front door. See 2 people left. Long Qing evil. Just then Sun ran a smile. The strength in the hand suddenly aggravates, ruthlessly pressed down. The old man in black robe was shocked, and his fighting spirit immediately enveloped his whole body. By the way, he opened the hand of Long Qingxia. Long Qingxia retreated 2 steps and was more alert in his heart. But now he didn't want to fight at all. He just wanted to leave this place. The black-robed old man in front of him touched his wrist, then raised his eyes. His killing intention made Long Qingxia very helpless. "What can you do with me, just by your own words? Now the 4 masters outside of you are dead and wounded. I think it's the wisest choice for you to let us go." The black-robed old man heaved a deep breath and looked at the dragon in front of him. He didn't speak. He seemed to be hesitating in his heart. The old man in black robe raised his head and looked at the main hall in front of him. Before the main hall, it was in a mess, with corpses everywhere and people fighting, which made him frown deeply, because it seemed that the Beast Gate didn't benefit much. On the other hand, There's no big loss for Long Qingxia. At this time, the old man in black robe fell into deep meditation and looked down at his fingers. His thin fingers were tapping on the back of his other hand. After thinking for a long time, he finally said, "Although it's unforgivable for you to invade our beast gate for no reason, now it seems that neither of us can take advantage of it. So I decided to let you safely withdraw from this place. But if you want to come next time, I will let you die without a whole body." Long Qingxia laughed, then put away the épée, turned and walked out. "I didn't mean to tell you this today, but your choice is wise. If you don't let us go today, I have the ability to kill you alone." Said, did not see the old man became very ugly face, turned out of the door. Outside, the 4 masters of the Beast Gate have received orders. Although some of them are still very angry, they have put away their weapons. All of them are very angry and look at Long Qingxia and others and go back. Sido Lan and Meng Bai have been seriously injured, but at this time, they are still fighting. Shangguan and Mu Xiaoming put them behind them, carefully blocking the people who came to attack. Fortunately, they are all small minions. They're not good at all. Shangguan and Shangguan are fighting and waiting anxiously for Long Qingxia and others to come. After a while, Long Qingxia and Nangong come to Shangguan and call the people around him to tell all the brothers who are still fighting to evacuate. Long Qingxia squats down, presses Meng Bai and Situ Lan's wrist pulse, and closes his eyes to check. Then he stood up and helped Meng Bai up. Shangguan and Nangong also set up Sido Lan, and they walked towards the camp. When we returned to the camp, everyone was very heavy because this time all the people under our command were injured to varying degrees, and some of the forces were still injured. Long Qingxia sits beside Sido Lan's bed and comes out of the room after healing him. At this moment, the outside is full of leaders of various forces, Shangguan and others. It's really hard for us to leave today. One of the leaders was very unwilling and sighed. Around him, Long Qingxia shook his head seriously and said, "In fact, today's battle is cruel because our loss is a little big." Long Qingxia said, "At present, our casualties are more than half. However, in my opinion, there should not be so many casualties in the next division. If we take this place in this way, we may not be able to go to the headquarters at all. But we don't have enough supplies now." Nearby, a subordinate said, "We have enough food in the whole camp for another 3 days. If we can't fight down this place in 3 days, plus there are traitors in the whole camp, we will surely have a very fierce battle in 3 days." Hearing this, Long Qingxia and others frowned. Food for 3 days. Shangguan couldn't help sighing, touched his chin and said, "If not, we'll find 1,000 people to go hunting in the mountains. It should be enough for us to eat for a period of time to bring back all the wild animals around here." Beside him, Cheese couldn't help rolling his big white eyes. Shangguan gave a dry laugh and did not speak. But no one around can laugh because there is no food. This is a very serious problem. But the night outside was already deep, and everything fell into a dark forest. In the whole mountain forest, there were the calls of wild animals, which was very frightening. This place is very remote. If you go out from here to buy food in the city, a large number of food will be noticed by the people of Beastgate. In this way, you may intercept the food you bought. Now that we've been fighting with the branch of the 10,000 Beast sect, the branch will definitely inform the headquarters, and the headquarters will send people to reinforce us in the next few days. Long Qingxia suddenly murmured, "So don't worry, we'll straighten it out, and we'll definitely end this branch in 2 days. But the leader of a force hesitated, scratched his head, and said, "But now we have a lot of wounded people. If we go there rashly, I'm afraid we will pay more." For a moment, the eyebrow of Dragon Qing Xie frowned more tightly. "Yes, there are many wounded people. If we fight like this, I'm afraid we will lose a lot." Now, everyone is silent. This is really a serious issue. Everyone was silent, waiting for the dawn, but in the dark, there was no sun rising. Beast Gate Headquarters. The branch Dharma Protector came to see the Patriarch. "If you have something important to tell me, please report it as soon as possible." A man in a black robe stood at the door and said to the guard, Rao is the Dharma protector of the branch, but he can't see Shangwen's Hong at will. The branch protector? The guard looked at him and said, The Lord is not in now. What do you need to report? The Dharma protector exclaimed in a flash, Not here. Now the base is always on guard against one person. How can we manage the affairs of your branch? You can just say what's the matter, and I'll see if I need to report it. The guard looked at the Dharma protector and said coldly. The Dharma protector frowned and said, The branch is under attack. The other side has a master of Wuling realm and several masters of Wudi realm, as well as a large number of followers. It looks like an army. The leader is a dragon Qingxia. Now the branch is very dangerous, so please. What? Why do dragons pour out evil? The guard was surprised. He was a companion of Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance sneaks into the base here. Has it started fighting there? At the moment, the guard did not dare to neglect and said, You wait. The Lord is not here. I will take you to see the deputy Lord right away. The Dharma protector breathed a sigh of relief and repeatedly said yes. Then he immediately followed the guard to find Shangwan Li. It's rare that Shangwan Li is in the headquarters at the moment. When he hears the news, he doesn't dare to neglect it. But Shangwen's Hong just want to chase Yunwu. If he chased Yunwu again, there would be no one in the headquarters. Who knows if the cunning Yunwu has any back moves? If she brings people over and guards around, I don't know if she will take the opportunity to attack. At present, Shangwan is in direct charge. Send someone to support immediately. Long Qingxia is not so easy to deal with. Send me 2 people from Wuling realm. Yes, on hearing Shangwan Li's words, the Dharma protector who came to report was very happy. He saw the hope in an instant. He answered quickly and went to arrange people with the guard. But I didn't think about it carefully. When he brought people back, could he still save his own branch? Outside the base in the forest. The forest is so lush and far away from the base that even such a strong light in the battle cannot be seen by the headquarters. In the golden bell cover, the golden light turns into sharp swords and stabs continuously towards the Shangwan tomb below. The speed is extremely fast. It's clearly the golden light, but it looks like the essence. Just looking at it makes people feel frightened. This time's array, and before comparison, impressively is turns defensive to attack. Shangwen's Hong coldly looked at the sword flying down, and with a loud drink, the black energy suddenly appeared on his body. Then, it formed something like a bronze bell, which covered itself inside. The dark bronze bell was like a hard shell, protecting the safety of Shangwen's Hong. The golden sword hit on the black bronze bell. It was a collision of energy, but it just made a sound of metal collision. It can be seen that Shangwen's Hong's strength is enough to make the use of energy real. Yunwu, do you think you can beat me? A small array wants my life. Do you think too much of yourself? Shangwen's Hong said, A group of mole ants, even if they add up, are still mole ants. All of the Yunjujin's faces remain unchanged. In a long-term training, they have already trained their skills, and even their psychological quality is much better than that of ordinary people. If Shangwen's Hong's sarcasm fell on the ears of ordinary people, it would have angered others, but it had no effect on the ears of all the officers and men of the Cloud family army. Sarcasm? Don't say it's a mockery. Even if it's a curse, it won't make a ripple in their hearts. It's a battle of life and death. Who will be distracted to think about other things? When Shangwen's Hong saw that he had said something, the other side was indifferent. He was angry and looked up at the falling golden light. Although the black bronze bell can't be broken for the time being, every fall will have a slight impact. Thousands of attacks will fall down. After a long time, it's not difficult to break his defense. Shangwen's Hong had an idea in his mind. Instead of changing his moves, he did it cross-legged and looked quite leisurely. Cloud Dance coldly looked at the Shangwen's Hong standing in the black bronze bell. He just stood there, but now he sat down leisurely. He didn't seem to worry that his defense would be broken. He couldn't help frowning. Although from the current situation, the two sides are deadlocked, they cannot break the defense temporarily. And Shangwen's Hong had no other way to deal with it for a while. I'm afraid this situation will continue until the defense is broken. Yunwoo knows that the most important thing is to procrastinate. On the one hand, she is satisfied with the current situation, but on the other hand, she is worried about Shang Wenhong's illogical behavior. Is there anything else that can't be done? Yunwoo turns to look at the direction of the base, thinking about Lung Qing and others in the dungeon. I don't know if they have successfully sneaked into the dungeon after such a long time. Nowadays, it's hard to find the passageway in the dungeon. After the cold water and others enter, they disperse and look for the entrance to the underground. But I searched for it several times, not to mention the entrance. I didn't even find a cave. As time goes by, Lung Qing is very worried. He is afraid that if the cloud dance can't hold off, he will let Shang Wenhong come back. At that time, he is afraid that they will be completely annihilated. How's it going? Or can't you find it? In an unguarded corner, the killers gathered for a while. Lung Qing asked, frowning. Back to the boss. I've searched a lot, but I still can't find the entrance. Let's ask someone. It's almost dawn now. If I can't find it again, I'll have to wait until night, said one of the killers, frowning. Cold water, depth, breathing, looking at the surrounding environment, the dungeon may be exposed at any time. I don't know how long it has been. I'm afraid it's going to be daybreak outside. It's too late to continue. Then he immediately nodded and said, Okay, let's go and get someone to come in and ask. After getting the order, the killers immediately took action. In a moment, 2 of them left, and the others stayed for a while. Lung Qing looked up at the direction they were leaving. Although she could not see anything, she was still worried. She murmured, Chief, I hope you can delay for a little longer. We will try our best to bring people out. Beast Division. Because countless problems are entangled together, we almost stayed up all night, watching the sky outside gradually light up. Early the next morning, Sidu Lan is still in sleep. Suddenly feel his side, fragrance soft in the arms. There's a woman's voice in the dream. The heart is very surprised, is thinking about this fragrance, how so familiar. Suddenly my heart sank. Bad things, this fragrance, how like before I thought about it clearly. I suddenly woke up, took a breath of air conditioning, and sat up directly. But because of the wound involved in the body and the pain of the stuffy hum, I found that I had come back to the camp. Dizzy in his mind, he kneaded his forehead and looked out of the window. The window was bright, and the leaves were shining green in the sunshine. It's strange why I feel so strange today. There seems to be something strange in my room. Suddenly, his face turned white. He remembered the familiar fragrance he had just smelled in his dream. It was no. C2 Lan in the heart, wry smile, touch own forehead, vomited a tone, in the heart secretly ridicule oneself unexpectedly already to such a degree. Around the cup, but suddenly turned up, a woman figure with long hair suddenly appeared in Sidu Lan's side. Sidu Lan screamed in horror. He almost jumped out of bed, but his injury was so serious that he fell forward in the dark. Hello. See how excited I am. The woman's voice was still there. Then, the next second, he fell into a soft embrace. Sidu Lan, long time no see. But Sidu Lan, panting in a hurry, his injury made him unable to resist, so he had to let the woman in front of him hold him, and then pull him back to the bed. From a master of the island, please forgive me. Sidu Lan had been hurt a lot. At this time, he suddenly saw Tsong Wanxiang. He was so frightened that he even spoke with a trill. He chuckled from the magic incense, reached out and patted Sidu Lan's arm, but let him snort. At this time, Sidu Lan finally saw the appearance of Huaxiang. From the magic fragrance in front of him, he wiped off the heavy makeup on his face and put on a plain skirt. His hair was tied up at will, and his hair danced lightly in front of his forehead. His delicate appearance was very lovely. How did you come here? Sidu Lan was very helpless and asked coldly. Because I miss you. From the magic incense blinked, put on an innocent look, fingers around his hair, pursed a smile, and I have a hunch that you miss me. So I came. From the island owner, I think it's more suitable for you to be vigorous and resolute. Now, this feeling. Situ Lan coughed awkwardly twice, and then turned his head to one side. He didn't know whether to continue. Sure enough, from the magic incense immediately changed a face. She suddenly stood up, stepped on the bed, lowered her head, stirred up Situ Lan's chin and eyebrows, and said, "You can't beat me now, but don't be too presumptuous. Otherwise, I don't know if I will eat you here." Situ Lan blushed and turned his head awkwardly. "I'm afraid it's not pleasant to hear from the island master, who is only one man and few women living in the same room. Not good." A faint smile rose from the corner of Magic Fragrance's mouth. "You haven't married, but I haven't married. There's something wrong with it." Slightly frown, Situ Lan very helpless eye tone. "Oneself is really to this person have no way. Then you go out first, and I'll change my clothes. I'm afraid today we will discuss how to continue to fight against the Beast Gate." All of a sudden, he said, "Are you here to help us attack the branch of 10,000 beasts?" He got up from Huanxiang and walked toward the door with a smile. He didn't say much. Situ Lan had no choice but to get up, get dressed, and walk out of the camp. "As soon as I went out, I saw the whole camp in full swing. There were more than 10 big carriages parked in the camp. Everyone was unloading from the carriages. Boxes of things were stacked with tents. Everyone was surprised that these people came from the transmission array, and they had all the supplies, food, and clothing. Everyone whispered, especially when they saw a woman coming out of Situ Lan's tent. From the magic incense, did not pay attention to these people, but went to the carriage, told the people around to move things faster. Then, Situ Lan came out of the tent and came to the center of the camp. Looking at the carriage in front of him, he asked the magic incense beside him, "Are you bringing all these from Wengo Island?" "That's right. I brought all the things for food and clothing. I think these things will be enough for you to spend half a year here." Looking at the huge carriage unloading countless goods from the magic incense, very happy to say, spit out a tone, Situ Lan very helplessly lowers a head to come. The public's discussion voice in the side is completely in the ear. Let him can't help but frown. Just as he was about to say something to Tsong Huanxiang, he suddenly saw Xiao ran running from a distance, wiped the sweat on his face, and said with a smile to Tsong Huanxiang, "Island Master, it's almost there." Turning his head, he just saw Situ Lan looking at him with a smile on his face. His eyes were very surprised. Looking at Situ Lan in front of him, he said, "Brother Situ, here you are." Then he looked at the magic fragrance, and a smile suddenly appeared in his eyes. "Well, if there's nothing wrong, I'll go first." Spears in mind immediately make complaints about it. This kid can really grow up and will play a joke on us, but we cannot help. Just then, he saw that Long Qingxie and others also came to Situ Lan's side. "Is this the master of the island from Magic Incense?" Long Qingxie asked, then turned his head and looked at Situ Lan with a smile. "I'm from Magic Incense." "Hello. I've heard a lot about you." Long Qingxie, from the magic fragrant smile, stretched out the right hand. So Long Qingxie will enter the tent from the magic incense, ready to introduce to you and then discuss how to deal with the Beast Gate. This is from the magic incense from the Island Master. As soon as Long Qingxie entered the door, he began to introduce. "Our current supplies are all sent by her through the transmission array." When everyone heard that this was the benefactor in the most difficult time, they all stood up and bowed their hands to Huaxiang to express their gratitude. This time, from the magic incense is a little embarrassed, face slightly red, hastily returned. There were some shy little women, which made everyone happy. In fact, there were no women in the whole team. If there were so many tender women, everyone's mood would be very good. Long Qingxie let everyone sit down, and then began a new planning. "I don't know how many people the island owner brought this time." Situ Lan sat on one side, smiling, and asked from the magic fragrance not far away. But seeing from the magic incense a little smile, got up and said, "Not much. I only brought 300 people, but these 300 people compared with the ordinary team of 3,000 people." For a moment, everyone exclaimed, "If we can say this with such confidence, then what kind of team can achieve this effect? This is a shadow army all by my side. Xiao Ran hand training. Said, turn to see Xiao Ran standing behind. Xiao Ran is indifferent to look at the people, did not have any expression. Sido Lan looked at Xiao Ran, his eyes filled with surprise. The boy, who used to be simple and clinging to the body of magic incense to eat his own vinegar, is now so powerful. I can't help but wonder. Thinking about this, I heard Song Huanxiang continue. This team will not appear in the sight of people. They have been hidden in places that you can't see, but rest assured with this team, you'll be more convenient and fast to achieve the goal. The crowd began to talk in a low voice, while Long Qingxie turned his eyes to Sido Lan, because he knew that Sido Lan was the only one who knew the magic fragrance best. Sido Lan grins bitterly and nods to the dragon, which means that this person is very reliable. Seeing this, Long Qingxie nodded and said, in this case, we will start our second attack this night. Everyone nodded, and then dispersed to prepare for the night's battle. When he came out of the room, he nodded to Sido Lan, and then walked toward the tent not far away. The food supplies distributed to the various forces give everyone instant impetus. After replenishing their physical strength, they heal their own wounds. Most of the wounded have recovered, while those who are seriously injured are left in the camp by the leaders of various forces. That night, the moon just climbed overhead. The whole forest suddenly fell black night. The forest suddenly appeared fog. Seeing this, Shangguan couldn't help laughing. It's heaven's help. Now it's foggy. I think it's not too small. When we get to Linghu, it could be used to hide our whereabouts. From the magic incense out of the tent, has put on a strong suit. Tight clothes will show their good figure. Around countless men's eyes hot look over, let from the magic fragrance eyes suddenly a dark, turn around, look at the people around. The breath from her body made all the men around her startled. She turned her head and pretended to see the scenery. Sido Lan and others came out one after another, and the army went in the direction of Linghu. In the night, there are countless shadows flying away in the shadow of the trees, but the fog is so thick that no one can see who it is. Sure enough, Sido Lan couldn't help admiring. Looking at the shadow in the tree, he patted Xiao Ran on the shoulder and said, boy, I could do it now. Xiao Ran, with a smile, lowered his head and turned a little red. He turned his head from the magic fragrance and gave a little smile to Sido Lan. He immediately asked Sido Lan to put away his eyes and coughed to turn his head to one side. Because both sides of the 10,000 Beast sect and Dragon Qingxie suffered heavy losses, the people of the 10,000 Beast sect are cultivating and breathing, and even the guards are very few. In the heavy fog, they did not expect that the army of Long Qingxie, who had promised to conserve their energy, came quietly the night after the armistice. Under the cover of the fog, countless people quietly went to the front door of the Beast Gate. Under the water, more than a dozen people have been lurking, quietly swimming towards the underwater drainage. From the team of Magic Incense, it has quietly leaped to the roof of the branch of 10,000 beasts. A group of people wearing black night clothes seemed to be invisible in the dark. Long Qingxie waved his hand, so the archer on the mountain behind him had prepared the arrow. The fog in the valley is more dense, which makes Dragon Qingxie's mouth can't help but smile. Seeing that the time was ripe, he suddenly stood up and waved to the people behind him. Then he took the lead to walk down the valley with the crowd. All of a sudden, the gate of the beast branch was pushed open. Long Qingxie squinted and then showed a big smile. Yes, that's right. The underwater team has first entered the headquarters of the Beast Gate and opened the gate of the Beast Gate from the inside of the Beast Gate. At the right time, Long Qingxie and others have also arrived at the gate. At this time, the people of the Beast Gate wake up, but when they attack, it's too late. The dragon's evil people fought in the main hall. The people who beat the Beast Gate retreated. For a moment, they howled everywhere. The shadow killers who were waiting for the opportunity on the roof have also thrown bricks down from the roof. Their superb assassination skills have made them kill countless people on the ground in an instant. The victory came too soon. When the old man in black came, the ground was covered with corpses. The black-robed old man was so angry that he suddenly grabbed the dragon. That pair of thin hands, like a ghost claw, but long, Qingxia laughed. "How old guy? How are your four masters?" He leaned leisurely away from the old man's hand, drew out his épée, and cleaved towards the old man. The old man immediately retreated. His face was heavy, his whole body was black, and his eyes were red. He was in a rage and continued to grasp the dragon. But all of a sudden, a sword ran through the old man's chest behind him. The old man lowered his head in surprise and looked at the sword on his chest in disbelief. Turning his head, he saw several people coming out of the door behind him, looking at himself with a smile. Spit out a mouthful of blood, black-robed old man lying on the ground, eyes but also full of unwilling. No one cheered. Everyone quietly began to clean up the bodies on the ground, and the men of the Beast Gate were almost dead and wounded. So a quiet victory? In the dungeon of the Gate of Beast Space, the two killers who had left for a long time finally came back, carrying a half-dead man in black. Lung Qingshui frowned and asked, "Why did you go so long? Didn't anyone find out?" The two killers threw the man in black who had stopped talking to the ground, nodded and said, "No. Boss, I went out just now and got a message by the way." "Oh," Lung Qingshui asked, "what's the news?" The two killers looked at each other and said, "It said that the branch of the beast sect is attacked. The attacker is the leader's friend, so they sent two experts from the Wuling realm to support them." "Friend of the chief?" Cold clear water wrist brow to say. "You heard me right? No, it's really the leader's friend. It said that it's called Long Qingxia. The two killers are new here, so they don't know who Dragon Qingxia is." Only when the name burst out, Lung Qingshui immediately believed the credibility of the news. No wonder Yunwu didn't have anyone around her this time. It seems that she was separated from her friends. "Boss, are we going to tell the chief the news?" asked the two killers. Lung Qingshui shook his head and said, "Not for the time being. We've already wasted enough time, almost all night. Now it's daybreak for a long time, and we don't know when the leader can support us. If we don't hurry up, we're afraid that Shangwen's will come back." Lung Qingshui finished, and the killers nodded one after another. The people put their eyes on the man in black on the ground. They stared at him without any extra emotion, and the man in black suddenly felt hairy. "Why are you so careless? It's clear that there are arrays everywhere in the dungeon, and there are also the arrays ordered by Shangwen's at the entrance of the dungeon. How powerful can they let so many people sneak in quietly?" Thinking of this, the man in black felt more uneasy. Linking Shui asked with a sneer, "I'm going to take the things from your mouth now. You can say whatever I ask. If you dare to say a lie or move other ideas, I'm sure you'll die here directly. Do you understand?" The man in black shivered all over, as if he was frightened by the cold water's eyes. "I've been in the Beast Gate for such a long time, and I've seen a lot of cruel and bloodthirsty eyes, but it's the first time that I've seen Lung Qingshui's eyes that make people look at each other like falling into an ice cave. As if the heart will be frozen up in general. There is no extra thinking ability, the devil will agree." Lung Qingshui nodded with satisfaction. Then, with a wave of his hand, his strong fighting spirit was released, and a border was formed directly here, which covered all the people. The man in black couldn't help feeling guilty. Originally, he planned to call his companions as soon as he took off the things on his mouth. After all, this is a dungeon, and there are people from all kinds of beasts everywhere. Even if there's a little bit of big movement in any place, it will be found immediately. But I didn't expect that this woman should be so careful and even be on guard against herself. In this way, not to mention shouting, it's hard to escape even if you have good limbs. Lung Qingshui snorted, and immediately a famous killer came forward and pulled the things from the mouth of the man in black. The man in black was finally able to speak at will. What do you want to ask?" The man in black said with some trembling, looking at the eyes of cold water. He felt guilty for no reason. Lung Qingshui asked, "I ask you, did you catch a man named Xiaomu a few days ago?" "Xiaomu?" The man in black was stunned, I haven't heard of it. Never heard of it. The cold water frowned, and the man in black shivered in an instant. The man in black thought about it carefully, but after thinking about it for a long time, he still couldn't think of a man named Xiao Mu. I really don't know. I'm just in charge of guarding the cell, not arresting people. Then I ask you, isn't the energy stone of the Beast Gate destroyed? If you didn't catch Xiao Mu according to what you said, how can it return to normal now? The man in black said, that's our sect leader's business. He didn't know where he found another energy stone, so the base was able to recover. Otherwise, it would be the same as the dilapidated one a few days ago. But does this have anything to do with the person you're looking for? That new energy stone is the one we're looking for. Cold Water said coldly. Ah. The man in black grew up in surprise. He is only the lowest level of existence in all beasts. How can he know such things? In his opinion, the energy stone is a magical stone, and Xiao Mu is a living person. Although he knows that sometimes the spirit stone of heaven and earth can be transformed into entity, he has never seen it. What's more, Xiao Mu's story is a secret of all animals, and only a few people know it. So hearing the Cold Water saying so, the man in black was surprised and speechless. Lung Qingshui looked at the man in black and thought that maybe he didn't know, so he asked, I ask you, do you know where the energy stone is? The man in black shook his head and said, I really don't know where is the energy stone. Only our sect leader knows all the time, and it's the sect leader's orders to arrange him. We have no right to know what's more. I'm just a minion. The man in black talked a lot, but Lung Qingshui finally got the point, which was nothing more than. He was too humble to know so much. Now he frowned. Boss, he's bullshit. The two killers who had caught him made a sudden noise. I'm not. I'm telling the truth. I'm not lying. I really don't know. The man in black exclaimed, fearing that the Cold Water would not be detailed. He killed himself directly. Lung Qingshui looks at the two killers. Why do you say that? We just heard him say that there was a deep hole in the dungeon, and there was energy coming from time to time. We guessed that it might be the place where the leader said Xiao Mu was detained, so we caught him. He can't have no idea. As soon as the two killers explained, Lung Qingshui's fierce eyes suddenly looked at the man in black. I confess, don't kill me. The man in black said quickly, I really don't know where the energy stone is, but I know the black hole, and I don't know what's going on down there because I can't get close to it at all. In this way, Lung Qingshui has an estimate in mind. Where is that place? The man in black quickly reported an address and told him how to get there. Ananfin didn't look like a liar. Lung Qingshui nodded and said, Okay, let's go and have a look. If we find that you are cheating, don't blame me for being rude. The man in black was relieved. It seems that he was saved. Shut him up. Knockout then, the man in black heard the cold voice coming out of the cold water. The next moment, he was knocked unconscious. The last thought before he fainted was, I thought I could let myself go. It seems that this unfortunate thing is not over, yet he broke the border that he had just set up. The cold sailor lifted his hand and put the man in black into a ring on his hand. Then he waved his hand and immediately rushed to the place just reported by the man in black. Many killers followed him. The terrain in the dungeon is complex, even with the route reported by the man in black, but still not easy to find. After nearly half an hour, Lung Qingshui finally found the legendary black hole. Between in a very remote place, a black pit suddenly appeared on the ground, the size of only one person through. And near the pit, there was a faint golden light. The cold water could see that it was a set array. I was afraid that it was just for the sake of placing it. Someone would enter again. There are two men in black around the array to guard. Compared with other men in black in the dungeon, they are obviously more powerful. But for the killers, it's just two Wuzong realms. It's easy to destroy them. It's rare to destroy them without disturbing the array and other people. No wonder the man in black said just now that he never went down to see it because he couldn't get close to it. Boss, what should we do? Asked one of the killers. They had not far away from the black hole, hiding their own breath and shadow in their own way. The two Wuzong strongmen did not find their existence at all. Long Qingshui's eyes swept through the crowd, and finally quickly called 3 names. You two in a group? Sure, you. And I in a group? One in a group? Kill them with the fastest speed. Remember to deal with the body. Don't disturb other people, especially the array. Others, stand by. Yes, the killers lowered their voices one after another. And then Long Qingshui took the 3 killers to fight directly. The 2 guards are very close. No matter which one they attack, they will be found by the other. Long Qingshui frowned and thought for a while and decided not to fight with them. So he motioned to Schwerer beside him and went to a farther place with him. As soon as Schwerer's hand turned over, a short dagger with cold light appeared in her hand, but she didn't hold still, but stabbed directly at the wall. With a creak, a small stone fell from the wall. The clear sound became very clear in the quiet dungeon. Who's over there? The guard said at once, and then came to have a look. Wait, we're all gone. What we do here? What if it's a diversion? Another guard said, pulling the first guard. The man in front looked at the array and knew that the task here was not so simple. So he nodded and said, Okay, I'll go there. Stay here and watch out for the other party's diversion. Good. The 2 guards made a quick decision, but they didn't know that the decision was in the killer's favor. Schwerer quickly pulls out the dagger, looks at Linking Shui with a smile, and immediately finds a place to hide her figure, waiting for the guard to come and check. As the sound of footsteps approached, Long Qingshui also took out a short dagger. Like Schwerer's, it was emitting bursts of cold light, which made people feel afraid. Who's here? The guard came close to the passage, but when he looked deep into the passage, he didn't see anyone and frowned. Didn't you hear me wrong? Turning around, I was ready to go back, but I saw a dagger scratch on the wall and stones falling from the ground. The guard was shocked and immediately wanted to call someone to come, but before he could get out, a black figure fell directly behind him. The slender jade hand stretched out, but it directly covered his mouth, making him unable to make a sound. The guard's conditioned reflex is general, and the black energy suddenly emerges to attack the people behind him. But how can a temporary attack resist the defense made by Long Qingshui? What's more, Linking Shui is also a real skill of Wuzong. When the attack appeared, Linking Shui's other hand immediately pinched the power and set a small border carefully so that the voice would not be sent out. Then, another black figure fell down directly. This time, it fell in front of the guard, and a cold light flashed. The guard didn't know what happened, so he felt cold at his neck, and the smell of blood rushed into his nose. His hands covering his mouth immediately exerted force and twisted along the cut neck. The next moment, the guard was killed on the spot. Everything happened between the lightning and flint, and a Wuzong master fell. Cold water gently put the man on the ground. Facing Schwerer, said, Clean up. Yes, Schwerer answered and immediately picked up. I've been trained to be a killer. I know how to restore the scene with the fastest speed. Cold water is very relieved, so I don't turn back and walk towards a black hole. By now, I'm afraid the guards over there should be solved, right? As he expected, when he returned to the black hole, he saw a group of killers waiting, and it seems that their speed is faster. The corpses on the ground have been disposed of, and there is no sign of fighting. Long Qingshui especially went to see the array near the black hole, and there is no difference. Boss, how do we get in? Asked the killer. The black hole is surrounded by arrays. It's hard to get in. Long Qingshui frowned and looked at it carefully. He didn't know much about the array, so he didn't know how to break these things. If it was normal, he would study it well. But now it's too late, and I don't know if it will disturb others suddenly. Long Qingshui's eyes lit up and suddenly found that although the array surrounded the black hole, if it could enter the black hole directly from above without touching the array, it might be able to pass directly. Although I don't know if letting go from the top will disturb the array, now I can only be a living horse doctor. At the moment, the cold water directly picked up a stone on the ground, and then looked at the black hole and directly threw the stone in. The stone crossed an arc in the air and finally fell steadily into the black hole, but the array did not change at all. Lung Qing Shui. Fortunately, this array is not like the one at the entrance of the dungeon. Even if it flies through the air, it will also be touched. As long as the array here is not stepped on, it will not be touched. Maybe it's because Shang Wenhong thinks it's hard to use his hands and feet in the dungeon, so it's too difficult to enter without touching the array. That's why such a loophole appears. We are divided into two groups, one waiting outside, the other following me down. Note that we climb directly along the wall to the top of the black hole. Do not touch the array, Lung Qing Shui immediately ordered. Yes, the crowd obeyed and immediately took action. The killers were quick and soon found their own positions. Cold water was the first to enter the black hole. The black hole can only accommodate one person at a time, so the killers have to go in one by one. After walking down for a long time, I finally felt a trace of energy fluctuation. Lung Qing Shui looked up at the top of his eyes and made sure that he had enough people to solve the boundary below, so he took the lead to get in. After a wave of energy, the scene in front of us changed from black to white, just like entering the Arctic. Just as the cold water had just landed, before it had time to move on, or even to see if there was anyone here, an attack came. Lung Qing Shui frowned and flashed to one side with sharp skill. The attack was empty, but the other side didn't pursue directly. Skill, one after another in black tights killers have fallen. Xiaomu looked coldly at the man who suddenly appeared and asked coldly, "Who are you? Why are you here?" When Linking Shui saw that he didn't mean to start, he said, "Are you Xiaomu?" Xiaomu looked at him coldly and didn't answer. "We are here to help you leave. We are all under Yunwu." Lung Qing Shui, seeing that the other party's clothes don't care, simply reported the name of Yunwu. Originally, he thought Xiaomu would react, but he didn't expect that the other party looked at them and said a word. "Who is Yunwu? I don't know any cloud dance." The killers were stunned and looked at each other. "You said you didn't know Yunwu? Are you not Xiaomu?" "I'm Xiaomu, but I don't know what you said about Yunwu. I advise you to leave here, or you'll never want to leave again if others find out." Xiaomu said, directly turned back to the position he had been sitting, obviously did not want to pay attention to them. "Boss, what should we do now?" the killers asked. Originally, I thought that it was only necessary to take Xiaomu away to break through all kinds of difficulties and dangers. The other side of the clinker actually said that they didn't recognize Yunwu, and they didn't want to leave with themselves at all. In this way, how can I make a deal with Yunwu? At the moment, Lung Qing Shui bowed his head for a long time and finally bit his teeth and said, "Let's do it. Straight away, whether he knows Yunwu or not. As long as he meets people, since he admits that he is Xiaomu, he should take it back first." At the command, the killers rushed forward and moved their hands. Xiaomu's eyes were cold. Although he didn't want to provoke others, it didn't mean he had no strength. He was ready to fight when he looked at the people who came. When the killers were about to arrive in front of Xiaomu, they suddenly dispersed and surrounded Xiaomu directly in the middle. One by one, they held short daggers and rushed up with tacit understanding. Xiaomu raised his hand, and a long sword appeared in his hand, which was filled with natural air. In the face of so many powerful killers, he did not dare to neglect. But then, before he started, he suddenly felt numb in the back of his neck, and the whole person lost consciousness. Lung Qing Shui helped Xiaomu fall down. It turns out that when the killers dispersed just now, he directly used the gap to go around behind Xiaomu. He was outstanding in hiding kung fu. Except for the moment when he started, Xiaomu would not notice his trace at all, so he was able to strike successfully. Cold water, Wu Xiao, would also directly into the ring. Fortunately, he was wearing this ring can hold the living, otherwise still don't know how to take him away. As soon as Xiaomu was installed, the energy link of the supply base was broken, and the border around him became fragile. Cold water, eyes slightly cold, immediately combined with the killers directly to break the gradually disappearing border. Time is pressing, even waiting for the border to disappear. They took orders and rushed out with cold water. Starting from the underground border, the energy chain will be broken, so the whole base will be affected, so it will be found sooner or later. Now what they have to do is to take Xiao Mu away with the fastest speed. Once out of the black hole, regardless of the surrounding array, will be punished. Lung Qing Shui called all the killers and rushed out without saying a word. All the way through the hidden kung fu to avoid feeling the movement of the people in black. Finally, when they leave the dungeon behind has been a mess. Lung Qingshu didn't even have the time to look back, because he already felt another powerful breath coming towards him. If he didn't guess wrong, it must be Shangwan Li. At present, the killers immediately ran in the opposite direction. Beast Division. The victory came a little too calm. Long Qingxie stood quietly outside the main hall, watching his brothers actively clean up the corpses and blood stains on the ground. He sighed, pinched his temple, frowned, and looked tired. The wounded were all arranged. The food and relief from Huanxiang and Winge Island played a very good role at this time. The main hall was empty. Everyone took all the things in the temporary camp here and camped in the branch of Wanwoman. Long Qingxie gathered everyone in the hall of the Beast Gate. The huge hall, which accommodates most of the people, seems a little empty. Chong Wangji ran in from outside the main hall with a letter in his hand. He was very happy. Boss, he quickly ran to Long Qingxi and handed the letter to Long Qingxi. Boss, the brothers of Chongwang Regiment who stay in Shaozhai have done a very good job in recruiting. At present, our Chongwang Regiment has recruited nearly 200 people and changed their name to Jinyu Mercenary Regiment. Long Qingxie slightly raised his eyebrows and hooked the corners of his mouth. Looking at the contents of the letter, the smile in his eyes gradually became obvious. He handed the letter back to Chong Wangji and said, "Well done, next." With that, Long Qingxie paused, looked around the main hall, rubbed his chin, and said, "Next, the division of the Beast Gate and the Spirit Lake behind will be in your charge." He patted Chong Wangji on the shoulder. Chong Wangji hasn't responded yet. He looks at the dragon in front of him. What's going on? What was the boss talking about? Countless questions in his mind make him dizzy. He looks at Long Qingxie for a long time, but there is no response. Why no? The Spirit Lake behind the main hall will be used for you to upgrade your realm, cultivate and regulate your breath in the future. I hope you will grow up as soon as possible. The dragon leans the evil way, then turns around and walks towards the rear of the main hall. At this moment, Chong Wangji felt a burst of excitement in his heart, suppressed his desire to shout, and said excitedly after Long Qingxie, "Boss, but is it really the case? Do you really want to give us the whole Linghu Lake? Can I really set up my own mercenary regiment here?" The chattering questions made Long Qingxie very impatient. He turned his head and said, "Don't think about it with one more word." In an instant, Chong Wangji covers his mouth, but his heart is already happy. They followed the dragon to the back of the main hall. There was a huge lake behind the main hall, which was much bigger than what they had seen on the mountain before. On the lake, there was a white mist. This kind of fog makes all people breathe in slightly, and they will feel the fighting spirit in their body boiling. As you can imagine, if you live in a house here, you will be baptized by the abundant spiritual power in the lake every day and night. What a pure spirit! Everyone sighed in their hearts. Dragon Qingxie suddenly leaped up, summoned his mount, leaped up, and flew to the other side of Linghu. Such a large Linghu lake, leaping up, looks like the sea, but the lake is calm and motionless. But strange is that on the other side of the lake, there is a waterfall, which connects with the lake. Under the lake, at first glance, it seems that the water is connected with the waterfall. But when you look at the calm surface of Linghu Lake, you can see that the water here does not come from this lake at all. This waterfall is actually a Dharma array. Long Qingxie was so excited in his heart that he stood on his mount and looked at the vast expanse of white in front of the waterfall at the end of the lake. Here is the place to connect with another world. If you enter from here, you don't know what unknown and yearning things will be ahead. He couldn't help but reach out his hands and touch them carefully in the void. But just as he stretched out his hand, a white light suddenly came from the void in front of him. The hand of Dragon Qingxie was quickly flicked away, and there was blood on his finger. It's amazing. Long Qingxia looks at the blood beads on his fingertips, and his mouth turns up. He suddenly remembers that someone told him that this is the place connecting to fairyland. In other words, if you go in from here, your strength will be improved. But this Dharma array can't be solved by our own ability. Long Qingxia sighed in his heart. He was disappointed, but he was very excited. He let the horse turn and return to the rear of the main hall. All the people are still standing beside the Linghu Lake, looking at him anxiously. Long Qingxia went to the people and said to them, "Let all the wounded enter the lake for healing. Those who are in a relatively low level can practice near the lake. Let's settle down first, and then we can plan other things." Hearing that, Long Qingxia said that there was no danger. Everyone was very happy. They rushed back to gather all the wounded and let them jump into the spirit lake. Long Qingxia turned and walked towards the main hall. In the main hall, Nangong, Yi, and others are still talking about each other. When they see the dragon's evil coming, they all surround them. Then you can have a rest here, and you can find the house in the back to live in. Such a big base can accommodate 30,000 of us. Long Qing heresy. It seems that soon we can meet with the little guy. Everyone laughed. This is the biggest victory against the Beast Gate. Separate, and walked towards the back of the main hall. After finding a house he had found, Siddle Lan simply cleaned it up. He was about to collapse and fell on the bed with pain all over his body. His wounds began to hurt again. He closed his eyes with a bitter smile. But before long, the door was suddenly pushed open. Don't even think about who's coming, but Siddle Lan has no strength to open his eyes now, just smelling the familiar smell, walked to the bedside from the door, and then sat down. "Are you okay?" From the magic fragrance. Siddle Lan didn't reply, but the bitterness in his heart made him cry. I don't know why this woman always pesters herself. It seems that she never intends to give up. Why are you still asleep? From the magic fragrance to himself. Then, Siddle Lan felt that the quilt beside him was lifted, and then he squeezed into the quilt from the magic fragrance. He put his hands around his waist and put his head on his shoulder. Siddle Lan was stiff and motionless in bed. His breathing was almost stopped. It's really embarrassing for me to say that, as the island leader, I am so humble and low dignity to pursue a man, but you are just like a piece of ice. Mumbling, from the words of magic incense, gradually become vague, and then vague. At this time, Siddle Lan finally slowly opened his eyes. In his eyes, he was full of feelings of unknown meaning. He looked down and saw that he was lying in his arms, sleeping soundly and sleeping soundly. He sat up quietly, took his hand from his waist, and sighed. This kind of emotional trifle will naturally come after the great event. Siddle Lan looked at Shuyan's sweet self-magic fragrance and frowned slightly. "So don't blame me, just because there is no time and quiet now." Said, got up, gently put on the shoes, walked out, and then quietly closed the door, until the sound of footsteps outside gradually disappeared. Song Huanxiang in the room opened her eyes. There was no sleepiness in her eyes. Her eyes were already red. She was staring at the roof of the house for a long time. She didn't know what she was thinking. For half a day, we finally felt at ease. We all played and swam in the Linghu Lake. The sunlight in the evening was sparkling on the lake, and everything was full of comfort. I always think it's too easy to win this battle. It's not that simple. Nanganji stood in front of Linghu. His face was still calm, but his brow was tight. Chi's, holding his snake sword, sat under a tree and closed his eyes. It's okay. Now even if they send people to reinforce, it's useless because now Linghu has become our territory. Nangong sighed and turned to see Chi's, who was sitting under the tree with a cold face. He also came and sat under the tree and closed his eyes against the tree. If only I'd been so leisurely all the time. Chi Knight suddenly let the side Nangong eat slightly ajong. When he opened his eyes and turned to look at Chi's, he saw that Chi's closed his eyes and seemed to be asleep. The corner of Nangong Yi's mouth is filled with a faint smile. Until the next morning when we gathered again, the powerful power of Linghu was amazing. Because the people who practiced in Linghu the day before have basically recovered. Not only that, Most of the people who are at the peak of the late stage of the realm are promoted successfully, but some people who have not yet reached the late stage also have a significant improvement in strength. In the morning, the changes of all the people made Long Qingxie and others shine in front of their eyes, and they couldn't help but marvel. Chang Wangji is even more excited, because last day, Long Qingxie promised him that this place would be garrisoned by them. In other words, it would not be difficult to improve his own realm in the future. When I think about it, I feel very excited. Suddenly, in front of the main hall, the gatekeeper stumbled into the main hall and cried out, "Boss!" No, it was a sneak attack. Blood gushed in his mouth. Before he came to the front of the dragon, he fell to the ground with a plop, and there was no sound. This group of people who were still talking about when they would return to their tribe were startled. They surrounded the person to see how they were injured. Suddenly heard a burst of noise outside. Suddenly a tight heart have walked towards the outside. Outside the main hall, there were two black-robed men, all black and murderous. "Who's coming?" Shangwan came out of the main hall and cried out. Suddenly, the two black-robed men in front of the main hall were ready to rush forward, but countless brothers surrounded them. But the two people ignored the encirclement of the people around them, suddenly raised their hands, and the black air took countless stones on the ground into their hands. Then, the stone wrapped in black gas, like darts, flew towards the crowd. There was no time to wail. The people in the innermost circle all fell to the ground, and there was no breath. Long Qingxie's expression is very cold, standing in front of him, looking at the two people. These two people are just entering the realm of Wuling. They're nothing at all. However, there are countless people who are relatively low in the realm of strength around here, and the casualties will be very heavy. He suddenly raised his head and ordered in a loud voice, "Now everyone withdraw to the rear of the main hall." No action without orders. All the people were angry at Long Qingxie, and they were all complaining about why Long Qingxie let them leave at this important and dangerous moment. However, when they saw Long Qingxie's serious face, they all retreated and didn't say a word more. But Shangwan and others, in turn, stood beside Long Qingxie. The two men were so angry that they didn't continue to talk. They just took out their weapons and rushed at the group. Long Qingxie sacrificed his épée, grinned with a smile of evil spirit, and cut off a man's head. That person quickly avoids. The other person behind has already stepped forward to the Lung Qing evil chest to grasp. The tacit cooperation between the two Wuling makes the dragon's evil spirit a little unbearable. Just after the person in front of him was repulsed by him, the person behind him came forward again and waved his sword. Just in an instant, a deep sword wound was scratched on the dragon's clear arm. He covered his arm and took 2 steps back, but saw several people behind him come forward and immediately separated them by force. And these two people are in the early days of Wuling. Under the siege of this group of people, there is no way to help the people there. Long Qingxie and one of them finally fight face to face. That man's sword technique is very strange. The whole body of the sword is wrapped in black qi. His whole body is also wrapped in black fighting qi. He can't see his face clearly. I really don't know what your headquarters sent you to do, to die. Long Qingxie could not help but sneer. You said that your branch no longer exists. Why do you still have to be so persistent? The man in black didn't answer. He turned to look over there, but there, surrounded by several people, the man in black was unprepared. I think if you choose to leave here and go back to the headquarters now, I may give you a break. Long Qingxie looked down at the wound on his arm and said with ease. The man in black snorted coldly and said, I don't know where your confidence comes from, but this is the place of our beast gate. We are sure to get it back. After hearing this, Long Qingxie suddenly laughed like he heard some funny joke, but with a deep sense of killing. Then in that case, you two will stay here forever. With that, Apei threw out a flower in his hand and flew away toward the person in front of him. The man in black robe wrapped the body of the sword with black qi and stabbed the dragon, while the other hand grabbed the dragon's eyes. Long Qingxie is too lazy to play with them anymore. The black energy on Ape suddenly looks like a ray of light, shooting at the black-robed man. The man in black robe is still hiding, but Long Qingxie doesn't give him the chance. He flies up and kicks the man in black robe in the face. A mouthful of blood burst out, and the black-robed man flew out in an instant. He rolled several times before stopping. Several teeth fell on the ground, and he coughed constantly. Long Qingxie collected his feet, but he looked down and saw that his shoes were stained with blood. He frowned slightly and looked down impatiently to wipe the blood on his feet. Then he stepped forward and came to the man lying on the ground. He said with a sneer, "I've given you a chance. You don't know how to cherish it. Now it's time to regret it." Did not expect that person is also a hard-bone, grin, suddenly fly up a foot toward the dragon, poor, evil stomach kick. Long Qingxie didn't give him the chance to stab him with his sword. Ka-ka! Only heard a click. The ape stabbed the sternum, and the splashed blood made Long Qingxie squint his eyes. While the man was lying on the ground, his eyes were not closed. When he turned to look at the people over there, he saw that they also turned their heads and made a gesture to him, which made him feel relaxed. Later, after a while, a few small pieces of the remains of the beast sect came, and they were wiped out by the dragons, evil spirits, and others. Finally, all the dust settled. At this time, we found that the beautiful scenery around the Linghu Lake. Near Linghu Lake, the fog is transpiration, surrounded by mountains and green trees. It is said that it is evergreen all the year round. The trees here are growing extremely luxuriant, flowers everywhere, birds contending, as if into a fairyland. And here is the best place to practice, because the aura of heaven and earth gather here, and the aura of Linghu is very rich. In the evening, Long Qingxie was sitting beside the Linghu Lake. When he closed his eyes and meditated, he suddenly heard Chong Wangji's excited cry, "Boss! Boss! Here comes our team coming? That's great." Long Qingxie closed his eyes and listened to the voice with a smile. He did not answer and continued to close his eyes. Not long after, I only heard a crowd of footsteps in a hurry, from far to near to the side of the dragon. Long Qingxie sat on the ground and could clearly feel that this small team was estimated to be about 300 people. Yes, I don't know what kind of conditions lured so many people to join this insignificant mercenary regiment. In a short day, there were nearly 100 more. But the dragon still didn't move and sat still. "Brothers, our boss has a strange temper. He's practicing now. Please wait for a while." Chong Wangji patiently explains, turns his head and looks at Long Qingxie, but sees that Long Qingxie still forces his eyes and is silent. After waiting for about a long time, some people were not happy and suddenly began to shout, "Hey, I said what happened to this man just sitting here? We're here. Doesn't he know?" As soon as I heard that someone was picking on us, a large number of people began to coax me. "That's right. Isn't it obvious that they look down on us? If it wasn't for the fact that they said here that there was a way to improve the realm quickly, who would have been wronged?" Long Qingxie sneers in his heart. Sure enough, most of the people who came later came for a way to quickly improve their state of mind. They didn't really want to join in. He still sat there quietly and listened to the voices of the people. Sure enough, everyone said for a while, "See Dragon Qing evil or no response. Finally can't bear." One of them took the lead in picking things at the beginning. His beard suddenly stood up, and his strong body made the Dragon Qingxie look very thin. He looked down at the Dragon Qingxie sitting on the ground and sneered, "I don't think this man had planned to let us come here." He made it clear that he looked down on us. I put the words here in advance, and I'm not a good one if I'm impatient. I'll have nothing to eat. So say, Long Qing evil sits in one side, but still have no movement, just the sneer in the heart already was about to jump the corner of the mouth. I said, "This person can't be deaf. It seems that he can't hear us at all." Beard turned his head and looked at Chong Wangji inexplicably, but seeing Chong Wangji's mouth curled, his face was also very upset. This is our boss. If we can recognize a person as the boss, naturally we have our idea. If he can't do anything, we won't recognize him as the boss. Beard laughed and turned around suddenly. He grabbed his collar with one hand and lifted him up abruptly. It was very funny. He looked down at Chong Wangji and said with a smile, You're just half a goner. How can your people be better? Look at you. Even if you all come up, I'll be able to clean up, not to mention the bony little Harry. Chong Wangji was caught by the collar, breathless and red in the face. In fact, the man in front of him didn't pay any attention to anyone at all. He came here because he let the players add such things as excellent training ground. There's chi in my heart, but who can say that my realm is not as high as this person's? I can't help feeling aggrieved. I turn my head and look at the dragon, biting my teeth, hoping that the dragon can help me. At this time, he opened his eyes slowly. He raised his head and looked at the beard in front of him. This man is about 7 feet tall, like a stone man, covered with hard muscles, so that his clothes are tight on his body. I said, Brother, when you go out, has anyone ever told you to be careful? Dragon Qingxie's eyes were originally evil. At this time, he began to laugh, which made everyone feel a gust of wind blowing, and his whole body was chilly. Chong Wangji was caught, and his face was red. When he heard the voice of Long Qingxie, his heart beat faster. Oh, you're finally willing to open your eyes. I just don't know when you want us to wait. I don't have the leisure to wait for your cultivation. He threw out the Chong Wangji in his hand. Chong Wangji was thrown at a tree. Suddenly, the tree had been knocked down. Chong Wangji fell on the tree trunk, vomited blood, and fainted. Long Qingxie's eyes were even colder. He stood up slowly and looked at him coldly with a faint smile. This brother is really cruel. Stop talking nonsense and tell me where the best training ground is, or you'll come to that end. Said, Beard pointed to the ground. Chong Wangji sneer. You this small-arm calf's son, I'm afraid not as good as him. Long Qingxie raised his head and looked at his big and clumsy body. He raised his head and squinted. You're here for this. You said that earlier. Long Qingxie lowered his head and touched his fingers. Then he said, We can not only practice here, but also have many healing pills. As soon as he heard it, his eyes suddenly glowed with gold. Pills, this is a very rare thing. He said that there are many such rare things. Naturally, there are many. Hastily get together in the past, excited way. Where, quickly take me over. Dragon Qingxie chuckled. Not shallow, not deep, not big, not small. Light said, That's natural, injured to use. The last word hasn't fallen yet, and everyone hasn't come back to their senses yet. The evil dragon suddenly disappeared in the same place. The next second, Beard suddenly burst out of his mouth with blood, and then fell to the ground, wailing. He covered his stomach, full of panic. At this time, a terrible pressure so that everyone around cannot help but legs soften. Some of the realm of slightly strong, some still barely stand, and those weaker directly kneel on the ground, pale face, poor breathing. Long Qingxie's figure finally appeared in the same place again, but he didn't stay. Instead, he walked in front of his beard and headed for Chong Wangji. Chong Wangji, on the ground, watched the dragon's evil coming towards him in the setting sun. In dismay, he was very regretful. He vomited blood and told the dragon's evil way, Boss, it's all my responsibility. I shouldn't bring it here without being able to see people clearly. Thanks to you, boss, otherwise we will suffer today. Long Qingxie didn't speak. He just quietly stretched out his hand to pull him up and asked them to help Chong Wang to heal. Then he turned his head, looked at the pale beard lying on the ground, and said, Okay, now you can go home and heal yourself. I don't think you can get better. Dragon said heretically, took out a small porcelain vase from his arms, threw it into his beard's arms, and said, This is the pill for you. Go back and don't come again. Raised his head, cold eyes straight to all people's faces, eyes in the direction. Those people can't help but lower their heads, shivering. You guys have made it clear to me. If you want to follow me, you should follow me well. Don't put on airs like a person in the Jianghu. If you still have something to pick up, come and talk to me now. Otherwise, you can kill me again. People are still scared, looking at the beard lying on the ground. It is obvious that it has been abandoned. When I went back this time, I was supposed to spend the next half of my life in bed. Suddenly, I was terrified and all knelt down. Boss, we are willing to follow you wholeheartedly. Never betray Dragon Ching. Xie raised his mouth slightly, turned around, and walked back. He said leisurely, choose one of you and follow me to a ranger residence. After that, this will be your training place. After whispering for a long time, they finally selected a man to follow the dragon and walk towards the main hall. After the main hall, Long Qingxie told him to leave. 300 people have been arranged. Little guy, why don't you contact me? Where are you? Long Qingxie sighed slightly. At this time, his eyes were really worried. Whiskers were carried to the house behind the main hall, and all the people who just came here began to know one thing. That is, this place was originally the branch of the Beast Gate. As a person who has been poisoned for a long time by the organization, their hatred for the Beast Gate is the same as their helplessness to the Beast Gate, which makes them excited when they hear that there was a fierce duel here, and after the failure of the Beast Gate. It turns out that this is the man who fought against the Beast Gate in the legend. All of them were very excited, and they fell in love with the dragon. Chong Wangji was helped back to his room and lay in bed, but he was very angry. In his heart, he secretly said that he was too stupid. These people had such an obvious purpose that he didn't know it. He sat cross-knee and began to heal. This evening, suddenly the sky thundered. Then a white light came down suddenly. All the people who lived here could not help looking in the direction over there. They saw a member of the Sword Domain Mercenary Regiment sitting by the lake, with his eyes closed and his face full of sweat. He was robbed by thunder. All of them exclaimed in amazement, looking at the clear white fog in the Linghu Lake beside them, and converging in the direction of that person like a dragon. The thunderclouds in the sky make the whole area around Linghu Lake fall into darkness. Even the light of the sun in the sky is covered. Chong Wangji looked out of the window from his room and exclaimed that the man who was robbed by thunder was one of his brothers. A few days ago, this brother still told himself that he had not been promoted, which made him very distressed. In a few days, he had already entered the early days of Emperor Wu, which really surprised him and made him more curious about the power of Linghu. But good things are just beginning. On the night of this man's successful rescue, the second cloud of thunder drifted into the air of a certain residence, and then the thunder roared. Everyone was awakened. It's amazing that 2 people managed to survive the robbery in one day. But even so, there are still some people who can't believe that are saying, "What? It's just a coincidence." Unfortunately, in the middle of the night, everyone was awakened by the thunder. The frequency of thunder robberies is too fast. All of them went out of the room and surrounded the lake. Some of them sat directly in the lake and practiced meticulously. Every night, every day, there was a lot of thunder. The villagers who cut firewood nearby looked at the valley in surprise. A child pointed to the black cloud above Linghu and asked, "Grandfather, you see, there are black clouds over there again. Why this way? There are too many people robbing Durley." The old man touched his beard and took his little grandson away. Long Qingxie is not idle at this time, because he sends people out to try to contact Yunwu, but this person hasn't come back for a long time. This made Long Qingxie very upset. He stood up and looked out the window. At this time, thunder clouds rolled out of the window. Since yesterday, the thunder here has never stopped. Long Qingxie doesn't worry about whether this kind of thundercloud will let the people of the Beast Gate come here. Now he just wants to know why the little guy hasn't come here yet. A dense forest, a group of killers in black tights have stopped. "Boss, we have run so far. I'm afraid it's not so easy for the people of the Beast Gate to chase us. Do you need to report to the leader?" A killer asked at the cold water. Long Qingxue turned his head to see the direction he was looking at, but he saw the people behind him who were not following him. He was a little relieved. "No, Xiaomu is taken away by us. Sooner or later, the people of the Beast Gate will find out. At that time, some of them will report to Shangwen's Hong, and the leader will know." Long Qingxue raised his hand and looked at the ring on his hand. He said, "Let's go back as soon as possible. Let's put Xiaomu down first and wait for the leader to come back." The killer nodded. So the people set out again and headed for the valley where they had settled. Little by little, when the headquarters of the 10,000 Beast Gate turned into a mess, I don't know how many hours have passed. Without the transmission of energy, there are obstacles in many important positions of the base. The guards who are responsible for guarding the dungeon quickly run to find Shang Wanli, but after reporting, they find that Shang Wanli is no longer in the headquarters. What's the matter? Wasn't that still there? The announcer frowned and said that Shang Wanli was still there when the branch's Dharma protector asked to meet this morning. Now he disappeared, but no one saw him go out. The deputy patriarch said that it was not so easy to deal with the gang of Long Qingxia, so he had to go to see what happened in person. The guard standing in the hall said solemnly, "What? The deputy leader has left?" The announcer looked shocked. Now what? There is such a big problem in the base, and the dungeon is almost paralyzed. We don't know how to deal with it. The guard on the hall glanced at him and knew the seriousness of the incident. At the moment, he didn't dare to neglect and immediately said, "Go to the patriarch while you are not completely paralyzed." Now only the patriarch can solve this problem. The person who came to report was stunned and felt that what he said was reasonable, so he quickly turned around and went out. In the base, they hastily ordered to separate and go to find the patriarch. No matter what happened, no matter how far they went, they must bring the news. So for a moment, in the base, one by one people in black scattered, looking for the figure of Shang Wenhong everywhere. Deep in the forest, quite a distance from a base, there was a golden light. Shang Wenhong's figure was still sitting in it, but he didn't know when his hands began to overlap. The bronze bell, formed by the black energy shrouded in him, has become thinner and thinner after a whole day's attack. It seems that it may be broken at any time. Yunwu didn't relax all the time. He was afraid that Shang Wenhong might attack him suddenly, so he kept observing his movements. That you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.